Jones. Wake up, Word and Solomon Jones. Word. You better wake up now.
You're here because you know something. What you know you can't explain, but you feel it. You felt it your entire life. That there's something wrong with the world. You don't know what it is, but it's there. You can feel it.
Get up on out the bed, start to move your balls. Wake up, Word and Solomon Jones. Word. You better wake up now.
Good morning. This is Solomon Jones on 900 AM, 96.1 FM, WURD, and I want to welcome you to another edition of Wake Up with Word. Well, overnight as the vote count continued, the president is now losing Georgia. I know you never thought you'd see it. I know you never thought you'd see good old Dixie going to Joe Biden, but guess what? That is what is happening this morning, and Pennsylvania inching closer and closer to flipping to Joe Biden. Of course, Biden already leading in Arizona, already leading in Nevada. If they called it right now, Joe Biden would be president of the United States. And so we are looking very closely at what's happening with this election, looking very closely about what's happening with us, with our people, with what's going on with black folks as this election goes. Which brings me to this point. The Trump campaign continues to wage its legal battle to halt or delay the counting of mail-in ballots. Yesterday, they got a state judge to temporarily stop the count in Pennsylvania, but the state Supreme Court reversed that ruling and allowed the count to continue with Republican observers, who were already in the room, by the way, standing closer now to the vote counters. But that can't change the reality. Biden is getting the bulk of mail-in votes, and it's not because anybody's cheating. It's because people are tired. If you don't believe it, ask Zaki Rayford. The black teenage driver allegedly ran a red light near his home in Schertz, Texas, and when police attempted to stop him, he drove to his family home. When he pulled into the driveway, the teen exited the vehicle with his hands up, holding his keys in one hand. By that time, the police had drawn their weapons. "Show me your hands now," one officer yelled, commanding Zaki to get on the ground. The teenager instead headed for his front door, pounding and screaming for his father to come help. The officers pulled Rayford to the ground. Zaki's family says he was tased 6 times and was repeatedly kicked while on the ground. Thankfully, the young man survived, but too many of us don't. That's why Biden is winning. Because for Donald Trump, this is about losing an election. But for us, it's about saving our lives. We got a great show for you today on Wake Up with Word. We'll talk with Deja Moore of the Boston Globe about how black people are feeling about the election. Plus, financial consultant Akbar Hassan has your money advice. And as always, we've got you, our listeners, calling in at 215-634-8065, a toll-free 1-866-361-0900. Hit us on Twitter and Instagram at onWURD, or you can hit me personally at Solomon Jones 1. Watch us on Facebook at onWURD. But first, it's the big three, the news stories you need to know to kick off your day right here on Wake Up with Word. Story number one, last night as mail-in ballots were counted and Trump's leads in Georgia and Pennsylvania became smaller and smaller, the president called a fake press conference in the White House and did something no other president has ever done. He pushed conspiracy theories and lies while votes are still being counted, attempted to undermine the results of an election he's poised to lose. He targeted the media. He targeted pollsters. He targeted election officials. He targeted mail-in voting, judges, and Democrat-led cities like Philadelphia as Joe Biden continued to inch toward a win in the 2020 election. If you count the legal votes, I easily win, Trump said. If you count the illegal votes, they can try to steal the election from us. Excuse me, sir. Here's the thing. No state allows the counting of illegally cast votes. What are you talking about? But you know what? Truth doesn't matter to the president. He repeatedly portrayed the counting of legally cast mail-in ballots as improper, a tactic that Yahoo News called an assault on American democracy by the president himself. Our numbers started miraculously getting whittled away in secret, Trump said, in what can only be described as a lie. This is the case where they're trying to steal an election, they're trying to rig an election, and we can't let that happen. Of course, there's no evidence that widespread election fraud has occurred either this year or in past years. But what's different this year is that a record number of people voted early, voted by mail, and it has led to a record number of ballots being cast for months. Trump has downplayed the possible health risks of the worsening coronavirus pandemic, holding large campaign rallies where people get COVID and encouraging his supporters to vote in person on November 3rd. So guess what? This is his fault. You did this, right? You undermined mail-in voting to the point where your voters did not want to vote by mail. And guess what always happens on Election Day? The thing that always happens on Election Day is that they count the in-person votes first. Then they count absentee ballots. Then they count like overseas ballots. So this is the way that it always goes. The difference is that Democrats voted by mail because they had sense not to want to stand in line like that, and Republicans didn't because they listened to you. That's what happened. That's why you're losing. That's why your lead has evaporated. That's why things are going the way you go. If you want to look at anybody, don't blame the pollsters, don't blame election workers, don't blame the people counting the votes, don't blame the judges of election, blame yourself. Because you put yourself in this position by undermining mail-in voting to the point where Republicans would not use it. You did this, running your mouth. And so, you know, when it gets to the end of this, Joe Biden, in all likelihood, is going to be the next president of the United States. And Donald Trump, guess what? You got nobody to blame but yourself. Which brings me to story number 2. Criminal justice reform is at the forefront of the presidential race, and the George Floyd case is one of the biggest reasons why. Well, a judge on Thursday rejected defense requests to move the trial of 4 former Minneapolis police officers charged in George Floyd's death, and also ordered that all 4 will be tried together instead of separately. Hennepin County Judge Peter Cahill ruled after defense attorneys had argued that pretrial publicity made it impossible for the 4 men to get a fair trial in Minneapolis. They also cited a September 11th hearing where the men and their attorneys were confronted by angry protesters. They claimed that they're not safe to hold a trial in Minneapolis, and the judge was like, nah, everybody knows about this case. It doesn't matter if we move it. That's not going to happen. And you know what it reminds me of? It reminds me of the Rodney King case. When they moved the case out of Los Angeles County, where they would have had black folks on the jury, and they moved it to Simi Valley, California, in order to have an all-white jury. You remember that? I do, right? So they were trying to use that same tactic. Let's move it to a place where you're going to have a less diverse jury, where you're not going to have black folks on the jury, where we might just be found not guilty. And it's like, nah, dog, we got social media now. This is not like the Rodney King thing, where it was just on video and they were playing it on the news. You can pull up the George Floyd incident on your phone. Everybody's seen it. You can't move it. Doesn't matter what happens. All 4 of y'all gonna get tried together, and I hope the 4 of you get found guilty, because there's no way in the world that you stand there as a police officer and you watch your colleague choke the life out of somebody for 8 minutes and 46 seconds. You had all of that time to step in, to stop it, to do something. Even as the public is standing around watching it saying, yo, take your knee off his neck. Stop, you're killing him. People standing around that whole time. And the people had sense enough to say something, but those officers didn't. All of y'all need to go to jail. All of you are responsible for George Floyd's death. And no, you're not getting a change of venue. This is not 1990 whatever, and this is not the Rodney King case. It ain't going down like that. Which brings me to story number 3, my commentary for the day. I believe Donald Trump will be out soon. That'll happen. Despite the people coming to Philadelphia and protesting the vote count, despite the people with Confederate flags and Trump posters, despite the president lying about everything from who's running the election to why he is losing. We'll have a new president. But just keeping it 100, that's not what's going to save the black community. We got to save our community, because we got to take care of us. Anytime nearly 70 million Americans voted for a man they know is a racist, We got to take care of us. Because these are the same people smiling in your face at work, teaching your kids at school, patrolling your neighborhood streets, and claiming they sorry when they turn you down for a bank loan. We got to take care of us. Because no matter who the president is, these 70 million people who voted for racism will still be at your job, in your hood, in your face, and in positions of power. We don't know who they are. We don't know what they're thinking. We don't know what they'll do, but I tell you what we got to do. We got to take care of us. That means raising our kids not only to understand what they're up against, but also to understand how to overcome it. It means raising our kids to know that they are victors, not victims, leaders, not followers, winners, not losers. It means helping each other up instead of holding each other down, giving each other jobs instead of giving each other grief. It means working together not because we want to, but because we have to. 70 million people voted for racism, and they're losing. And if we want to keep on winning, we got to take care of us. I want to hear from you. Give me a call, 215-634-8065. That is 215-634-8065, and let us know where you are on any of these topics we are talking about on this morning show. Of course, the big story is the election, and the president now losing in Georgia as they count more of those mail-in ballots. The president's going to lose, and this is why. Because he undermined mail-in ballots to the point where Republicans did not use them in the same way that Democrats did. He undermined mail-in ballots to the point where his voters did not trust those ballots enough to use them. And so they all showed up to vote in person on Election Day, and they showed up in big numbers, right? But many of them did not use mail-in ballots. And so the interesting thing to me is this, that this is always the way that the votes are counted. Always, every election. They count the in-person votes first, and then they count the absentee ballots. Now, this year you had the mail-in ballots in addition to the absentee ballots, right? All of them come by mail, or if you were in Philadelphia or in other places, you could turn them in drop boxes or satellite locations or whatever. People voted early in droves, and that skewed Democratic. And so the president knew. He knew, had to know. I know the people around him told him. His campaign people had to tell him that, look, the way this is going to go is they're going to count the in-person votes first, and then they are going to count the ones that came in by mail. He had to know that. And so it's your own fault, dog. You did this to yourself by undermining mail-in ballots to the point where your people did not want to use them, where your voters did not want to use them. That is why we are at the point that we are. That is why we are in this place. That is why you saw your lead evaporate in Georgia. And that's why, guess what? You're probably going to see the same thing in Pennsylvania. That's why you're not going to catch up in Arizona. That's why Joe Biden is probably also going to win Nevada. Because you undermine mail-in ballots to the point where your people did not want to use them. And so when we look at the numbers this morning, what we are seeing is that you have Joe Biden at 264 electoral votes. You have Donald Trump at 214, and he running to court instead of running to the people. See, that's the mistake that you made. An election is about the people, man. It's not about the courts. So you run into the courts after you done already lost. It's already really over. And so I want to know what you think, because there's a whole lot that's going on around this election. At the end of it, I believe Joe Biden will be declared the winner. But here's the problem. After Donald Trump's been president for 4 years, what are you really winning? You're winning a country that is divided. You're winning a country where you have people actually getting in a truck in Virginia and trying to drive to Philadelphia, talking about they're going to do something at the convention center. The police investigating that. You got Trump voters outside of the polling places talking about, outside of the vote counting centers talking about stop counting the vote. You got the president of the United States coming to the lectern at the White House and saying Democrats are running the election in Georgia, and that's why my numbers are going down. Dude, the governor of Georgia is a Republican. The Secretary of State of Georgia, who runs the election, is a Republican. But what he's really talking about is those black people that you see on TV counting those ballots. What he's really talking about is those black people that you see in Philadelphia in the convention center counting those ballots. What he's really talking about is the black people that you see in Detroit in their vote counting center counting those ballots. What he's really appealing to, again, is race. Oh, the Democrats, they cheating us out of, they cheating you out of what, man? They live streaming the whole thing. Everybody can see it. There's cameras in all of these rooms where they're counting these votes. Everybody can see it. Who's cheating you out of what? What are you talking about? But this is where we are. And so even when Joe Biden wins, what happens is there has to be some healing that's got to take place. I don't know how it happens. Because once you let that racist genie out of the bottle, once you tell people it's okay to be openly racist, once you tell people it's okay to say whatever you want to anybody who doesn't look like you, how do you put that back? How do you stop that? How do you heal that? How do you fix that? And that's why I say we got to take care of us. Certainly we will work with allies. Certainly we will work with people from outside of our community. But guess what? We got to take care of us because we don't know who those 70 million people are who voted for racism, who voted for lies, who voted for dishonesty, who voted for cheating. We don't know who they are. They the same people smiling in your face at work, the same people talking about, oh, we're sorry we couldn't give you the bank loan. Meanwhile, they gave it to Karen down the street whose credit wasn't as good as yours. These are the same people, man. You know what I mean? So we don't know who we have to take this as a lesson and really unite. Really take care of us. And certainly we open to working with other people. We open to working with whoever is about justice. But how do you heal a country where half of the people who voted for racism? I want to hear from you. How do we heal after this? Give me a call, 215-634-8065. That is 215-634-8065. We're going to talk about it on the other side of this break. Also going to talk about the folks who was driving up from Virginia with a plot and how Philly responded. Wait until you hear this. I'm Solomon Jones. We'll be right back.
Now, a traffic update on WURD Radio.
Good morning. This report sponsored by United Healthcare. Still not too bad here in Philadelphia. Some volume picks up a bit southbound 95, Cotman through Bridge through the construction zone. Then again from Allegheny through Girard, getting busy northbound side, no major problems. Westbound Vine Expressway, Parkway through the Schuylkill Expressway. That is a slow ride. Schuylkill westbound getting heavy University through 30th Street through that construction. Eastbound side, Montgomery through Girard, a bit busy. Heading into Philadelphia, Ben Franklin Bridge getting real jam midspan down through 8th and Divine Street. The lights there are stuck on red at the traffic light coming off the bridge, causing a heavy ride now on the Ben Franklin heading into Philadelphia, while whipping that remains fine. United Healthcare Medicare Advantage plans come with a lot to take advantage of. Visit AdvantageWow.com to learn more. That's AdvantageWow.com to learn more about United Healthcare Medicare Advantage plans. For more traffic information, log on to SigAlert.com. Jim Bachman with your Philadelphia area traffic.
Keystone First VIP Choice HMO SNP Dual Eligible Special Needs Plan has a 4 out of 5 star rating and is one of the highest rated Medicare plans in the region. Keystone First VIP Choice and you are better together. If you live in Philadelphia, Bucks, Chester, Montgomery, or Delaware County, and you have both Medicare and Medicaid, choose the Medicare plan that is working to help you get better care. Enjoy extra benefits at no cost to you with Keystone First VIP Choice. You get benefits like dental, vision, and transportation to and from your medical appointments. They also cover a fitness membership to a gym of your choice. $150 toward over-the-counter pharmacy items. There's no copay for doctor's visits. They offer a large provider network, a great prescription plan, dental coverage, and even eyeglasses. Plus, you don't have to wait for open enrollment. You can change your coverage every quarter. Keystone First VIP Choice. The name you trust, the service you deserve. Call Keystone First VIP Choice today at 1-877-686-1760 or visit KeystoneFirstVIPChoice.com. As a business owner, hiring and developing people from the community that your company serves is one of the best ways to show commitment to that community. Let WURD Radio help with Livelihood, our new initiative that connects Philadelphians with companies like yours. We'll feature your business, open employment opportunities, and resources to connect your company with talent and ensure that you reach your target demographic. To learn more about how Livelihood can help you build your team, visit WURDworks.com. That's WURD works.com. Livelihood is supported by the Nightland Fest's Local News Transformation Fund, Borealis Philanthropies Racial Equity and Journalism Fund, and the Solutions Journalism Network. This Veterans Day vignette is brought to you by Rivers Casino Philadelphia.
In recognition of Veterans Day, WURD Radio celebrates the Tuskegee Airmen, the first black aviators in the United States military. The Tuskegee Airmen trained at the Tuskegee Army Airfield in Alabama while facing racial segregation, discrimination, and the denial of fair pay in the armed forces and at home. When dispatched, they flew more than 15,000 units during World War II and earned more than 150 distinguished flying crosses, shattering doubts about their capabilities as black aviators. Their demonstration of excellence contributed to the integration of the United States Armed Forces. As we continue to fight for racial justice today, WURD Radio celebrates the Tuskegee Airmen and other black Americans who have served and continue to serve our country.
This Veterans Day vignette was brought to you by Rivers Casino Philadelphia. Go to betrivers.com to play now.
Back by popular demand.
It's Wake Up with WURD, hosted by Solomon Jones. Right now on WURD Radio,
96.1 FM
and 900 AM WURD.
Good morning. This is Solomon Jones on 900 AM, 96.1 FM, WURD. The president spoke last night. We want to listen to a little bit of that sound from the president speaking last night. He went up to the lectern at the White House, and of course he called it a press conference, but really it was a rant. It really wasn't a press conference. It was him lashing out at everybody, and it's crazy, the place where we find ourselves now. Let's listen to a little bit of what the president had to say last night when he stepped up to the lectern at the White House.
And, we can't allow anybody to silence our voters and manufacture results. I've been doing a lot of public things for a long time. I've never had anything that's been as inspirational by people calling, talking, sending things to us. I've never seen such love and such affection and such.
You want to know why?
Yeah. So that's the president talking about some of his followers, and we're going to get a little bit more of that sound a little bit later on, because one of the things he said was that in Detroit and in Philadelphia, right, two of the most corrupt cities in our nation, they're stealing the election from me. And really what that is him talking about the folks that we see on TV counting those ballots. Those are black people counting those ballots, right? They are cities where you have, high black populations. When you put black and brown folks together, they're majority minority, right? Majority black, majority brown cities. And so what you're seeing is the president claiming that these black people that you see on TV are stealing the election. Now, how they're doing that with the cameras on them the whole time they're in there, I don't know. You know what I mean? How they're doing that when you have election monitors who are in there and who've been in there from the beginning, I don't know. Oh, I know. He lying. So I mean, the bottom line is this, that you know, this is another signal to his followers that these black people are trying to steal the election from you. That's really what that is, and it's disturbing. It's disturbing because here you have, and I've never seen this in my life, the President of the United States trying to say that democracy in the United States is a lie. I've never seen this in my life, where you have the President of the United States trying to undermine an election. Now, I've seen all kinds of things. I've seen racist presidents. I've seen dishonest presidents. I've seen presidents who cheat on their wives. I've seen, you know, all kinds of stuff. But I ain't never seen this. This is crazy because this is actually something where you're really putting the country on a collision course with each other. So if I can't win, ain't going to be no country. We got to take care of us. I want to hear from you. Give me a call, 215-634-8065. That is 215-634-8065. The optimism that I get out of this, and the president gets optimism from seeing his people outside the polling places or outside the places where they're counting the vote and protesting, right? Saying stop the vote count, which is ridiculous, right? That's where he gets his inspiration. Where I get my inspiration is from seeing the fact that black folks came together in a way that we understood our mission. We understood we got to vote to get this cat out because he's tearing the country apart and he's turning people against us. We got to get this cat out for the future of our children. We got to get this cat out because coronavirus is killing people in our community disproportionately. We got to get this cat out because he is promoting racism in our country, and we are the target of that. We got to get him out. I was so proud, man, to see lines down the block, I mean for weeks, as people turned in their mail-in ballots at those satellite offices. I was so proud to see lines around the corner on election day as people waited patiently to cast their vote, to make their voice heard, to do everything that they needed to do to make sure that we are standing up for our community. That's what gives me inspiration, and that's what lets me know that we can take care of us. Let's go to the phone lines. Ann from East Oak Lane is on line one. Go ahead, Ann.
Good morning, sir.
Good morning.
Good morning. You've been good all week long, and the people that commented. I say this: when your enemy show you your enemy, you better believe him.
That's right.
From the beginning, he hated that. You know, he ain't just getting. He said when the 5 innocent young men in New York wasn't the lady. He said they were animals. You know, nothing like them since then. So yeah. I thank God that we the people got together, prayed, and got him out of there and voted. Okay, we prayerfully voted and got him out. He know he lost because he already made the regular. I'm a sore loser now. Idaho, he won Idaho. He said we don't know who the 70 million are. I'll never eat another Idaho potato. He won Florida. We ain't got to see Mickey and Minnie. See, one thing we just begun with the foundation is the vote we won. Now the work is our green dollar and our black hand. They'll never see another one. The Latinos that down there that thought that they could want to be Latinos and want to act white like them, they ain't got to go in their store. See, they're going to come back to the table once our money's not in their warehouses, but their money not in their cash register. So that's where the work will be. That's where we have to organize and register. Stay out there, businesses that are all that stuff there in their warehouses. They don't want to. They're going to run for to get up to the table. See what I'm saying? And that's how Martin 16 did. And when they boycotted and seen that our little money mattered, after they boycotted, it was over. He said, "No, we ain't going back. Walk another whole year." So I'm saying that's where they killed him for the economics, and that's what we have to build from. Now we got him out. We're just waiting for the count. Got him out. Let's start. It will never be another Black Friday. We're gonna have Green Friday because we ain't going there buying nothing.
I hear you. It's got to be an economic battle, and I agree with you. That is the next front. That is the next battle. It is economic. It is absolutely economic, and I agree with you. And I want to thank you so much for pointing that out this morning on WURD. She's right. Let's go to Gary from Chester online too. Go ahead, Gary.
Solomon Joe, thanks for taking my call. Solomon Joe, you're a journalist, and this is the question I wanted to ask you. When 45 started talking, the three big ones cut them off. And here's my question to you. Did they all get together and say, as soon as this guy starts talking, we cutting them? Is that how it goes, Solomon?
No, no. I think they all made that decision independently. And I think that they are making that decision now because they can see the handwriting on the wall. Like, there's nothing he can do to them, right? And I think, you know, it's been something that's been talked about for a while now, about those press conferences, which really aren't press conferences. They're really campaign speeches, and him using that to give out misinformation. He's been doing it for a while. I'm going to have a press conference, and then he go in and make a campaign speech. That's not a press conference. A press conference is where people actually get the chance to ask questions. A press conference is a place where you are sharing facts, and that's not what he's been doing. So they've been talking about it for a while, man, and last night they did it. So, Gary, I want to thank you so much for your call this morning on WURD. Let's go to Fran from West Philly on line 3. Go ahead, Fran.
Good morning, Solomon. How are you?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm good. It's looking good for, soon-to-be President Biden. I'm very encouraged by that. I think, Solomon, that we have to, really keep an eye on the fact that about a year and a half ago, they were talking about how 35,000 Republicans moved to Philadelphia. And in my opinion, they're thinking further down the road how they can possibly turn Philadelphia from a Democratic city to a Republican city. And we have to get our mindset to think further down the road, how do we counteract that, in regards to making sure that we stay Democrat. I don't know if you've heard that before, but I heard it about a year and a half ago about how so many people have been moving to Philadelphia, and they were Republican votes coming in because of their move to Philadelphia. Yeah.
Yeah, I don't really, I'm not bothered by that. I think that competition is a good thing. And I think that there are some things that have happened in Philadelphia and continue to happen in Philadelphia driven by Democrats that are not good for the black community. I think we should be getting more of a share of the money that is spent on construction in Philadelphia with our tax dollars. But we're frozen out of many of the building trades unions. And I know they're tired of me talking about that, but I'm going to keep talking about it because that's our money, and y'all giving it to these cats that won't let us in these unions, and they don't even live here. They live in the suburbs, right? So I think that competition is a good thing. I think that Democrats got to get it together, stop talking, and start doing in Philadelphia. I think that, we have seen some things that are good, but I think we could see some things that are better. So if the Republicans move in and if that make the Democrats actually get off their butts and actually do something, I'm good. That's where I'm at. I want to thank you for your call this morning on WURD Radio. Let's go to Beverly from Burlington on line 1. Go ahead, Beverly.
Good morning, Solomon. Thank you for taking my call.
You're welcome.
I agree with you, Solomon. I was so proud to see our people come out and vote the way they did. And as I'm watching the election returns, and when I see all the black communities that are coming out for Biden, it makes me proud. But Solomon, yesterday while I was watching the news and I saw the protest in Nevada outside of where they're counting the votes.
Ain't that crazy?
One black dude had a sign that said 46% of blacks for Trump. Now, how can that happen, Solomon? How?
Well, first of all, the sign is a lie.
I know.
That's number one. But, I honestly think that you have some black folks who get paid to come and sit behind him at those speeches or to go to those protests and hold those signs. And it's a shame. But I also know, based on, some of them had called here. you know, that you have black folks who actually believe that they can follow a racist, and as long as they pockets stay fat, they'll never get hurt by it. You know? So
man, it is not enough money in the world.
I know that's right.
Me go sit behind Trump. Thank you for taking my call. Have a great day.
You're welcome, and thank you. Let's go to Rafiq from North Philly on line 2.
Hey, good morning, Brother Solomon. Good morning to the whole team over there.
Good morning.
Y'all clicking on all cylinders. It's amazing how people can't concede to victory. But if you look at the past history and past behaviors of this guy, he does not like to lose.
Nope.
Even if it's a whole level, I mean, you could pull out all the legitimacy and everything in the world, and he will still find some kind of way to win. Now, as far as wanting to do, as far as what to do next, the question is, do we want to? And how do we, get over this? Because a lot of folks, Donald Trump allowed folks, our people, and the other folks to it's okay to be racist. It's okay to follow racist.
Yeah.
Like it's not under the covers anymore. It's out here now, and we still got guys riding around with Confederate flags. I work over here in Jersey. I mean, these guys got Confederate flags on their license plates. They flying around in their trucks, and it's okay.
Yep.
So the thing of it is now, me as an African American, what do I do? How do I react to that? I don't. My thing is, you can look. I really don't want you to say anything to me, but if you do say anything to me, that's okay. But just don't come and put your hands on me.
Yeah.
The ignorance is just what it is. You're going to be who you are. And, it's just sad that we're in this state, man. And the world is laughing at us.
Yeah.
They really are, man. And I don't know. I'm sitting here borderline with tears in my eyes because it's just sad. Like, these states are not united. I really think they should drop unite in these states and just call it the states. Because we are actually just in a state of confusion. So that's my take on this right now. I have more to say, man, but I know you got more callers. I appreciate you taking my call. I'm glad you and your family are doing better. Stay safe and keep doing what y'all do, man.
No doubt, no doubt. Thanks, Rafiq. I appreciate your call this morning on WRD, and I think a lot of people feel that way, man. And once you have allowed and encouraged racism to be open, how do you then put the genie back in the bottle? How do you then say, okay, well, we're going to stop that now? I don't think you do. And I think the lesson from these 4 years, and the lesson from this election, because for these 4 years, we've been under attack as a black community. But this election saw us unite in ways that I really have not seen since Obama. We have to continue that. We have to continue to be united economically. We have to continue to be united communally. We have to continue to be united spiritually. Like we got to continue to move together. Because guess what? Changing things in America and in our community is not going to be up to Joe Biden. It's not going to be up to local Democrats. It's not going to be up to any political party. It's going to be up to us. And so we have to remain united the same way that you saw black folks with a sense of mission and purpose in this election, lining up for weeks to vote. That's how we have to operate going forward. And I do believe that the next battlefield has to be economic. We're going to talk about it on the other side of this break. I'm Solomon Jones. We'll be right back.
Ladies and gentlemen, are you sick of trying to cut and style your own hair and the rest of your family? Well, McLean's Unisex Salon in Mount Airy is open for business. We've been a neighborhood institution for more than 50 years with styles for men, women, and kids. We have new partitions and social distancing measures to keep everyone safe while keeping the welcoming feel you've come to expect from your neighborhood shop. Visit us online at mcleansunisex.com or call now to make an appointment, 215-844-9826.
Pico has many ways to help you lower your energy usage and save money at home. Here's one. If your heating and cooling system is more than 20 years old, it may be time for your contractor to replace it with a high-efficiency Energy Star certified model. You'll get a rebate from Pico and save on your monthly electric bill. You'll find a list of new heating and cooling system rebates at pico.com/rebates. Or you can call 1-888-5-PICO-SAVE for all the details. Plus, find instant discounts on smart thermostats and more at pico.com/marketplace. There's free shipping on orders over $49.
Back by popular demand.
It's Wake Up with Word, hosted by Solomon Jones. Right now on WURD Radio.
96.1 FM.
And 900 AM WURD.
Good morning. This is Solomon Jones on 900 AM, 96.1 FM, WURD. We are closing in on the finish line, and so we are now at the point where it's fairly clear that Joe Biden is going to be declared the winner in this election. Of course, Donald Trump has filed suit in several states. He's asked for a recount in Wisconsin. That's not really going to make a difference because usually in a recount, you only move maybe 100 or a couple of hundred votes. He's behind by a couple of thousand, and so that's not going to work. The lawsuits don't change the numbers, and so it really is only a matter of time. And the question is, what next? What do we do now? And I believe, and I talked to my mother yesterday, and I want to give a shout out to her because it just became crystal clear to me as we talked that we got to take care of us, because we have now seen almost 70 million people vote for racism in this country. I mean, that's what we've seen, right? And we have to be very clear on that. You know, right now I think Biden is ahead by 3 or 4 million votes in the popular vote. But what that means is that half the electorate was okay with racism. That's what that means. And so that means that these are the same people that you see at work. These are the same people that are teaching your kids, the same people patrolling our streets. You don't know who they are, because they can smile in your face and go in that voting booth and vote for racism. You know, and that's why the polls are wrong. The polls were wrong because you had people doing the same thing that they have done for decades, right? I'm going to vote for a racist, but I don't want this person on the phone who's asking me these questions to know about it, so I'm going to lie and say I'm going to vote for somebody else. That's why the polls are wrong. Because you got folks who, you know, no, I'm not voting for Trump, and then they go in and they do. That's why the polls are wrong. It's not because of any kind of conspiracy. It's not because anybody's trying to suppress the vote through the polls. It's not any of that. It's because people are doing the same thing that they've done for decades, lying to the pollsters because they want to vote for a racist. They did the same thing with Rizzo. Oh, I'm not voting for Rizzo. I'm voting. You know what I mean? Nah. No, and then you go in the voting booth and you do what you want. That's why the polls are wrong, because you have people who are ashamed of their vote, ashamed of their ideology, ashamed of themselves. That's why the polls are wrong, not because anybody's trying to suppress anybody's vote. You know what I mean? But then you got the president pushing these conspiracy theories and claiming that somehow the pollsters were in league against him, that they were in cahoots against him, that the polls were wrong because of the pollsters. No, the polls were wrong because your voters are liars. That's why the polls are wrong. We have to really come face to face with the reality of where we are as a country, where you've got 70 million people voting for racism, and you have no idea who those people are. The black community has to continue to move in a way where we have a sense of mission and purpose for ourselves. And certainly we welcome allies. We welcome those who want justice, those who want equality, those who want to do what's right. We welcome them, but you know what? We got to take care of us, because we don't know who these 70 million people are. Real talk. I want to hear from you. Give me a call, 215-634-8065. That is 215-634-8065. Sister Murray is on line 3. Go ahead, Sister Murray.
Good morning, Solomon. How are you?
Good morning. Good.
You're doing a great job of putting that out there, and everything that you're saying is at 100%. Solomon.
Yes.
We have to get him out of there, because come the holiday, it's going to be a whole lot of families sitting at the tables with loved ones that's lost. They won't be sitting at their table with them. We got to get him out of there, because John Lewis, Martin Luther King, Harriet Tubman, Rosa Parks, Farrakhan, and Obama, he stands for none of that, which every last one of them have fought for to get us where we are today. We cannot go back, my brother. We have to go forward. We have to protect our children. We have to protect our nation. We have to protect our neighborhoods. We have to protect our hearts. We have to trust in God. We should be fasting. We are winning, and we're going to take this country back. Thank you.
I want to thank you for your call this morning on WURD Radio. Let's move on and go to Malik from Mount Airy on line 4. Go ahead, Malik.
Good morning. Good morning, Solomon. Good morning, WURD family. Hoping that Kuwait is doing well, even though she hasn't returned yet. Here's my take on Donald Trump. I'm kind of glad that he got into office, because, like you said earlier, just think about how many people who you were sitting next to or working in the office with, or, like you said, teaching our children, who were just blatant racist, but they were hiding it. But then they get their commander-in-chief to say it's okay for me to show you who I really am. So now it's a crazy thing. At one point, I was looking at a silent enemy, but now you show me exactly where you stand at. For 4 years, you were standing proud with your chest poked out. Well, like you said, you can't put the genie back in the bottle. I know who you are now.
Yeah.
And it's scary, because if he wouldn't have gotten office, you'd have still been that same person that's doing everything you can to stop me or defeat me or hurt my children in a physical way and or educational way. So they're behind who you make their opponent by financially, educationally, and scholarly. It's not fair for a child to have to be subjected to this person, but guess what? I don't know who you are. So I put you in a school, trusting the school system, but I'm racist teaching them, and they're saying that you have problems. I thank Donald Trump in that sense, and only that sense. I'm glad that Joe Biden is going to win, because hopefully that's going to change. Because now we can show you, all right, we need to get you out of office. I need you, the school district. Now we know how we need to attack this, like you said, after the vote. Because now we need to go to the school system. Now we need to go to the city council to get all these races removed. Because you can't keep teaching our children and putting our children behind, because that's our future. And if we don't nip it in the bud now, like you said, it's going to be 8. Somebody said yesterday it's going to be 8 to 12 years to fix all this. We need 8 to 12 to 16 to 20 years to fix the problems that's already ingrained in our children now. Imagine how many children didn't even know. It's a scary thing that I think about every day.
I hear you, man, and I want to thank you so much for your call this morning on WURD Radio. Let's go to Jerry from West Philly on line 1. Go ahead, Jerry.
Hi, good morning.
Good morning.
You fired up again.
Yeah.
Okay, first of all, I like to say is that I'm not partying until the last ballot is counted. First of all, I remember what happened with Hillary. I think that, we was all happy and thought we had to win, and then the rug was snatched from under us. I think that we need to not assume anything. You know what that word assume means. So I'm not partying until the last ballot is done. Another thing, too, is that 45 being in office, what he mainly also did is had us come together, wake up, and a lot of people forgot about God. God should be number one in our life with all things. He's still in control. He allowed him to get in office in order for us to remember him. Just like we need to pray, we got caught up in all these different things. We need to come back to God, start being more humble, and give him praise. That's what it's all about. And we're going to be all right. No matter what the outcome is going to be, we will be okay. Like I said before, we are survivors. And I think what's happening with 45, he's having a breakdown because he know what he did to Hillary. He had all them people interfering with the power, the voting and everything. All this is coming back, and he is really having a nervous breakdown. If you look at his facial expression and anything else,
he always looked like that.
Okay.
He always looked like that, though. He always looked exactly how he looking now, which is crazy. But, you know, I hear you, Jerry, and I want to thank you so much for your call this morning on WURD Radio. Let's go to Mike from West Philly on line 2. Go ahead, Mike.
Good morning, Solomon. How you doing, big brother?
I'm good, brother. How you doing?
I'm doing okay. It's crazy. We live in a divided states of America. I spell it with 3 Ks. You know, Pennsylvania is the southernmost northern state. People just keep saying that, right? And I'm really offended by white men coming here think they're going to bully us in Philadelphia.
Yeah.
Don't they see the homicide rate here?
Yeah.
They're not playing. You know, they better know where they are. And like you said, Solomon, the scary thing is we don't know who these people are. And they're not just white folks. They're Asians. They're Latinos. It's these self-hating black folks. You know, so I have to accordingly by keeping my guard up around everybody. It shouldn't have to be like that. And in closing, did you hear his creepy kids call for an all-out war, but they wouldn't bust a grape in a wine factory fight? Unbelievable. Thanks for taking my call.
All right, man. Thank you for your call this morning on WURD Radio. And that's where we are. And I think the black community has a couple of lessons, I think, that come out of this. And I think they're good lessons. We have seen 4 years where we have been under attack, and as always, we have survived it, right? But our reaction to that in this election was really to unite in a way that we have not seen in years, right? I saw black people voting in droves, man, lined up for weeks, right? As soon as the vote was available, black folks lined up in droves. The reason that Joe Biden is even in this thing is because black people saved him in South Carolina, right? And so the kind of unity that I have seen with this election is the kind of unity that we're going to need going forward, because again, you had 70 million people vote for racism. We have no idea who those people are. They the same people smiling in your face, the same people patrolling your streets, the same people teaching your kids, the same people talking about, oh, I'm sorry we couldn't give you the bank loan. Like, they the same people, right? And so what we have to understand is that we have to take care of us. And if we do that, then everything else can take care of itself. You know what I'm saying? Like, we really have to recognize that these folks are not going to go away. They are not going to disappear. They are going forward with resentment, with anger, with rage, like all of that, because they lost, because this was their last gasp of white supremacy. And so there has to be some unity in our communities. There has to be a sense of purpose in our communities, right? We have to patronize our businesses. We have to give each other jobs. We have to give each other breaks. We have to help each other through, because you've got millions of people who have now shown themselves to be either racist themselves or okay with racism. And we're the target of that. So we have to work together. It can't just end with the election. You can't just look to Joe Biden to save you. You can't just look to Kamala Harris to represent you. You have to represent and save yourself. And we do that by working together. It's never been more clear to me that we have to support those in our community, because you've got millions of people out there who either hate you or are right with other folks hating you. Real talk. We got to talk about that. We got to be real with that, and we have to move forward knowing that. We got to work together. That's what we got to do. We're going to go to break. On the other side, we're going to continue to take your calls. Also, you can weigh in on Facebook at forward, FORWURD, FORWURD. Tony from North Philly, Susan from West Philly, Wes from Mount Airy. Gary, you're next. If you want to get in, it's 215-634-8065. I'm Solomon Jones. We'll be right back.
Listen to Laborers Live.
We created the weekend. We created the 40-hour work week. We just want enough to feed our family, be able to send our children to college, and let our next generation do better than we did.
To people that might have forgot how important unionism is in a country like the United States. People now infringing on our 8-hour workday, trying to work people more than 8 hours without overtime, trying to work people without benefits. In the long run, everybody's getting a fat paycheck except the worker. So this is really a wake-up call for America.
The struggle is continuous. Tune in to Laborers Live every Friday from 4 to 5 p.m. Sponsored by LESIT, the Laborers Employers Cooperation Education Trust of the Laborers District Council of Philadelphia and vicinity.
Local 332, Sam Staten Jr. Business Manager. Local 57, Esteban Vera Business Manager. Local 135, Dan Woodall Jr. Business Manager. Local 413, James Harper Jr. Business Manager. The Laborers District Council, Ryan Boyer Business Manager, and Tony Staten, Executive Director of LESIT.
Tune in Saturdays from 2 p.m. to 3 p.m. to hear Empire Capital and Consulting founder Mark Palmer's show titled Black Money, Black Power. This show centers around black money and how black power is derived from money. Tune in every Saturday from 2 p.m. to 3 p.m. Black Money, Black Power. Hosted by Mark Palmer.
Lifting every voice
Till earth and heaven ring.
This is WURD Radio, 96.1 FM and 900 AM WURD Philadelphia.
Black Talk Media.
Good morning. This is Solomon Jones on 900 AM, 96.1 FM, WURD. I'm going to welcome you back to Wake Up with Word. We are, of course, taking your calls at 215-634-8065. That is 215-634-8065. We're also taking your Facebook comments at FORWURD. That's FORWURD, FORWURD. That's where you can let us know where you are on what we are talking about. On this morning's show, we are, of course, a couple days out from the election, and things are not looking good for Donald Trump. He is now losing in Georgia because of the mail-in ballots that came in. They are skewing heavily toward Democrats. And the reason why that's happening is because President Trump spent months undermining mail-in ballots. He spent months sowing seeds of doubt in the minds of his own voters. And so they didn't vote by mail. But the way that elections always go is that you first count the votes, the in-person votes. That's how it's always counted, right? And most years, most people vote in person. But because of the novel coronavirus, COVID-19, which the president mishandled, and so now you have over 230,000 people dead, 9 million people infected, record rates of infection every day, right? Because of his mishandling of that, you had the option to do mail-in ballots in states where it had never been done before, so that people could stay safe. So because of him and his handling of the coronavirus, you had more mail-in ballots. And because of him and his undermining of those ballots, his people didn't use them. That's why you're losing so bad right now. That's why your lead in Georgia melted away. Because the people who use mail-in ballots weren't your people because you undermined them. Do you know what I mean? I mean, it's almost laughable because he put himself in this position And now he's acting like it's somebody else's fault, but it's not. It's your fault. You did it to yourself. And so this is where we are. And I fully expect that when all is said and done, when the dust clears, when the lawsuits are dismissed, because I think many of them are going to be dismissed, we're going to have a new president. But what that means for us is that we have to continue the same sense of unity that we had in this election. We have to continue the same sense of mission that we had in this election. And it has to be around what is going on economically. I think that has to be the next fight. So I want to hear from you. Give me a call, 215-634-8065. Tony from North Philly is on line one. Go ahead, Tony.
Oh, good morning, Solomon. Thanks for taking
my
call. And I wish you well and health to you and Queen Kuwaisa and her family. And also, you know, like you're saying about the economy, you know, with during the riots and all the protests, do you know how many companies took a loss in these stores, you know, without even trying? I think that siphoning of that $1.3 trillion came to a screeching halt for a moment with all these companies, and they noticed that their bottom line, you know, without even trying. That's evident about how the economy really weighs down, because these are the very companies that pay the politicians. And how many politicians have become millionaires over the last 4 years? And also, they keep saying about how the Russians undermined the election. But remember 2016, how many Russians was all up in the White House? About a dozen sitting around with Trump and shaking hands. If they was undermining the election, they sure was, you know, in cahoots or something. All right, thanks for taking my call.
All right, I want to thank you so much for your call this morning on WURD radio. Let's go back to the phone lines and talk to Susan from West Philly on line 2. Go ahead, Susan.
Hello, Solomon. How are you doing?
Good.
Oh, good. I'm a first-time caller, but I do listen to you, you know, as much as I can.
Thank you.
And you know, and you were mentioning about the 70 million people who voted for Trump.
Yes.
And I know who some of them are, and I'm not going to be long. It is 55% of the white women who voted for him. And you have a blessed day.
All right. I want to thank you so much for your call on WURD radio, and I want to thank you for that. And certainly, we talked about that yesterday, broke down some of the demographics. You had 55% of white women. You had 30-some% of Latinos. You had 18% of black men. And those are some conversations that we're going to have, and people going to be mad about it. You know what I mean? Why you talk about black men? Well, why 18% of black men vote for him? You know, now on the flip side, that means 82% of black men didn't. But why do we have 18% of brothers voting for a racist? And I mean, you know, some of them call here. You know what I mean? And that's a conversation that has to be had. And it's a tough conversation, but, you know, why are you selling out your own? It's a conversation that needs to be had, right? If we are going to operate from a foundation of truth, then you got to tell the truth about all of it. You know what I'm saying? You know, white women said, you know, they had a whole march and a whole movement and all of this stuff, and we're not going to do what we did last time. Well, yeah, you didn't. Now it's worse, because last time 53% of white women voted for Donald Trump. Now it's 55%. So after all of that talk and marching and movement and all of that stuff, it's even worse. That's got to be talked about. So Susan is right, and I want to hear from you. Give me a call, 215-634-8065. Let's go to Wes from Mount Airy on line 3. Go ahead, Wes.
Good morning, Solomon.
Good morning.
I'm glad you mentioned truth. Pretty much, I say I hope it continues. Now I'm not as optimistic as you are, but I'm going to hope that happens, because it's easy to go after Trump because he's a bullhorn. He's just stupid that he just let his racism flag fly. The issue that I have, or the thing that I have, is Trump made it difficult for a lot of black people to act like it doesn't exist. Because it's easy to unify when it's a bullhorn, but when it's a whisper, when a person can sit there and do deniability, will people still be that vigilant? I hope so. And economics is something that's important to our community, because I think that's one aspect of our community we really don't talk about enough is money. Because, yes, business is about your local store, but business is also being able to get the capital to grow your business where you can sit there and have a company as big as Vanguard. Because there's something to be said when you had a lot of the black banks to consolidate in order to be as big as a big bank, where if you look at the history of, I'm going to say, Bank of America, that started off as Bank of Italy, and then through the years and decades of laws being situated for them to buy banks to become Bank of America, that's what our community should be able to get to. And the only way we'll be able to get that is through, you can't have black business without black politics. They have to go hand in hand. Because in order for you to have your business, you have to make sure you have the laws to protect your business. Because history has shown we have built cities and towns where blacks are prosperous. But what happened? They were torn down, they were destroyed. And what happened? White people used the laws and used the laws in a way that blacks weren't able to get that back. So when I look at that, for me, I'm not surprised that 70 million people chose racism. People want to make sure they get People want to make sure they got a leg up in the game, and power is not given; it's taken. I'll leave it at that.
I want to thank you so much for your call this morning on WURD Radio. Let's go to Gary on line 4. Go ahead, Gary.
Good morning, Solomon. Good morning, WURD family. You know, it's interesting because being privileged brings racism. If we were privileged, would we be racist? I don't think so. It's interesting how this thing is going down. I'm going to give you an example. When O.J. won the case for supposedly killing his wife or ex-wife or any other gentleman, I worked in a high school. Prior to him winning the case, the white folks in the school, they adored me, you know, because I had a population of 200 kids that were at risk, and I kept them from harming the teachers and stuff. I kept them in check, the students. But when O.J. won, they looked at me, and I walked the halls, and they looked at me with such disgust that they hated the fact that a black man had got off from supposedly killing a white woman and a white man. Things have never changed. The more it seems that they change, they haven't, Solomon, to be honest with you. I like what the sister said before. It's spiritual warfare that we're dealing with. This is a wake-up call for us. This thing that's happening with number 45 being in office is a wake-up call for us, and we need to see it. But we need to see it on a spiritual level as opposed to racism, this, that, and the other. It's like we have to come together as a group of people. We have to.
Well, let me ask you this: if you view things on a spiritual level, is racism sin?
Yeah, I believe so.
Okay, is sin spiritual?
Is sin spiritual?
Yeah. Is sin a spiritual problem? Yes, I'm asking you. Is sin a spiritual problem?
I would say that it is. Let me give you an example.
So therefore, if I call out racism and racism is sin and sin is a spiritual problem, you still can see that from a spiritual level. I see everything from a spiritual level because I think that certainly racism is sin, and the deep thing about that particular sin is that it is a sin that is committed at a group level, where you have one group believing that even though we are all made in the image of God, that somehow the only image of God is theirs. And so they try to take on a godlike place in a society by saying we are supreme. Not God is supreme, we are supreme. That's where you get white supremacy from. I mean, I think all of it is spiritual, Gary. I really do. What do you think?
And they put the white Christ on the wall, right? And they get us to believe in this white Christ, and that's how it starts. See, that thing is like a white man and a black man could be sitting together in a church. Now, in the denominational church, he can sit. But I don't know what Bible they're reading. If they get a different message out of it, if it's a King James version of the Bible, and they can go home and put a white robe on and a cone hat on and burn a cross on somebody's lawn. Yeah. I don't get that part.
I don't get it either, Gary. I don't get it either. I want to thank you for your call this morning on WURD radio. And, you know, I just think that, you know, for me, when I am practicing my faith, and I happen to be a Christian, you know, and when I'm reading about the people in the Bible and reading the lessons that God is trying to impart to us, for me, I'm seeing us. You know what I mean? Because God told me I'm made in His image. You know what I'm saying? So I'm not seeing people who I cannot relate to. I'm seeing people whose stories and whose experience and whose spirituality reminds me that I am a child of the Most High. And so I see all of it from a spiritual level. I really do. You know, prayerfully, we can take on that mindset and understand that we're in spiritual warfare. You know what I mean? That we not really battling just against Donald Trump, that we battling against you know, some principalities and some evil in high places. You know what I mean? So, you know, Gary, I want to thank you for your call. Let's go to Queen from Cobbs Creek on line 1. Go ahead, Queen.
Good morning, Solomon.
Good morning.
You know what? I just wish I had some answers too, because I hear everything that's being said, and I just wish I had a solution, because my son lives in L.A. My son is 34 years old, and for a grown man to say that, you know, he don't want to go outside, you know, because, you know, I fear for my son's life, you know, and I just would like for something to just happen with us, that we could get together as a black race and show a united front that we are, you know, we're not afraid to be out here, and we're not afraid to do the things that we need to do. I appreciate Man Up and all the things that the men are trying to do to bring themselves back up and let people see that there are men out here that are doing what they need to do.
Absolutely.
But we need I don't know what we need, Solomon. It's just, I'm so baffled behind all this. Not so much baffled, but oh man, it's just so much. You know, it's so depressing sometimes, and I do turn the news off. I don't turn it on that much because it's so depressing, and I don't want to be depressed to the point where I don't want us to be depressed to the point where we can't do anything. And like a woman said earlier about our money, I think we should guard where we put our money at, because if we knew the people that did vote for him, just like this rapper, Wu-Pan Chu, whatever his name is, with all the tattoos and things, and Kanye.
Oh, you talking about Lil Wayne. Lil Wayne got all the tattoos.
Yeah.
We get Wu-Pan Chu.
I don't know where I got that from.
All right, so Lil Wayne, so what about him?
All right, sorry, Wu. But I just think that if we it was us as black people who got them where they are as far as financially, because if it wasn't for us, where would they be at? You know, so when you start pulling money back, if we weren't in this virus right now and they had concerts going on, if we didn't go, where would they be? You know, they're busy voting for somebody who says that they don't like black people and what we going to do, and you know, and taking children away from their parents. And how do you even deal with somebody like? And then you putting a judge in who wants to mess with Medicare and Medicaid, and you have all these different people who are ill and sick, and
it's a lot. It's a lot. And I want to thank you so much for your call this morning on WURD Radio. Let's go to Keith from North Philly on line 2. Go ahead, Keith.
Hey, good morning, Solomon.
Good morning.
Yeah, we did it, man. We did it. And now that it's done, you know what I mean? You know, Trump crying like a baby out, you know, going out the door. You know, but, like you said, I vote like we saved Joe Biden in North Carolina. Now, it's about power. Now, you know, because all these other groups, like, going to come out, like the LGBT, DACA with these resources. So although, yeah, we have to do for self, but the black vote has to count for something. Like, you know what I mean, now. And this is the day, this is the time. In 2021, we should be on our Congressional Black Caucus, right? So we can start developing policy for reparations, and even before that, like, you know what I mean, our schools is terrible. Like, you know, we have to get something for our vote now. Like, you know.
You are absolutely right. You are absolutely right. I agree with you wholeheartedly that we have to get something for our vote. So, Keith, I want to thank you for your call and thank you for bringing up that point because that's real. Let's go to Abdul from West Philly on line 3. Go ahead, Abdul.
Hey, so how you doing?
I'm good, brother. How are you?
I'm good. This needs to be a wake-up call for us all as far as, you know, the 70 million that voted for him is for us to, you know, be strategic, plot and plan when we go out and vote and stop being so cute. You know, we go in the polls and trying to, you know, think this thing is, you know, I can pick a Democrat here and an independent here and a Republican here. Because what the Republicans done, they strategized when they knew that Obama would win a second term, and they made sure that they was going to get the Senate to keep him in check. And that's what they done, and they've been strategizing since the Tea Party until the Trumpers, and they haven't stopped. And we need to start from here until and out to be voting all the way down the ticket, state and local, so this never happen again. So when we do have a Democratic president, they cannot stymie us by controlling the Senate. And we also cannot forget even the pools that our allies come from. Out of their groups, we have enemies, and we always had eternal enemies from across the globe. There's nowhere on earth that a black person live at that they're not on the bottom totem pole. Any Latin country, you cannot find any black presidents. And even though they try to make blacks down there think what they is, you know, call yourself Cuban, Puerto Rican, Peruvian, Brazilians, they on the lowest totem pole. If you're dark and you're Italian, you're on the low totem pole. If you're dark and you're from any Asian countries like Thailand or Bangkok or, you know, whatever, you on the lowest totem pole from the Japanese and the Koreans and the Chinese. And in India, they do the brown paper bag test because you're considered ugly in India if you're black. We need to understand what's going on and keep it.
I know that's right, and I'm gonna move on because we got to go to break. But I want to thank you so much for your call this morning on WRD. On the other side of this break, we are going to talk with Brother Akbar Hassan. It is Friday. Yeah, it's still election season, but it's still Friday. Some of y'all get y'all paycheck. I'm tired of you messing up your money. Akbar Hassan, financial advisor, joining us on the other side of this break. I'm Solomon Jones. We'll be right back.
Now, a traffic update
on WURD Radio.
Good morning. This report sponsored by United Healthcare. Still some busy spots here in the Philly area. Heading into Philly from New Jersey, Ben Franklin Bridge, you are jammed over the span down to 8th and Vine. That's because of a traffic light problem. Still stuck on red. So traffic again, add a jam heading into Philadelphia in the Ben Franklin Walt Whitman. That is your best bet. Now, southbound 95, you're going to find that jamming from Cottman down through Bridge through construction. Again, Betsy Ross through Girard. Northbound jam Betsy Ross to north of Bridge. An accident there now being worked on. Westbound Vine Parkway through the Schuylkill. Slow Schuylkill. Westbound Jam University through south through construction. Busy again. Gladwin to Conshohocken eastbound. Gladwin to Belmont. Again, Montgomery through Girard. Slow. United Healthcare Medicare Advantage plans come with a lot to take advantage of. Visit AdvantageWow.com to learn more. That's AdvantageWow.com to learn more about United Healthcare Medicare Advantage plans. For more traffic information, log on to SigAlert.com. Jim Bachman with your Philadelphia area traffic.
Dietz & Watson has been making premium meats and artisan cheeses for over 80 years. And when it comes to stacking sandwiches and party platters, they've got something for everyone in the family, like maple honey turkey breast, American cheese, buffalo chicken, and more. So get to your local deli and taste 4 generations of family recipes. With Dietz & Watson on the table, you'll have everyone coming back for seconds and thirds. Dietz & Watson, it's a family thing since 1939.
Jefferson Health offers no-cost COVID-19 testing at St. Raymond of Pinafort Church. Testing is on Thursdays and Saturdays. For testing hours and more information, call 1-833-533-3463. Did you know you can catch the flu and COVID-19 at the same time or even back-to-back? Don't risk catching the flu during the COVID-19 pandemic. The flu shot is a safe and effective way of reducing your chances of catching the flu or spreading it to others. And the flu shot helps protect you and your community from the worst effects of the flu. Don't say, I should have got my flu shot. Call your doctor or visit your pharmacist and get your flu shot today.
It's Wake Up with Word, hosted by Solomon Jones.
Good morning.
Right now on WURD Radio.
96.1 FM.
And 900 AM WURD.
Don't do it. There's other ways to celebrate your anniversary other than going in debt. The fact that it's credit card debt tells me it's not any debt that was, needed. Past performance is not indicative of future results. So with that qualifier, don't walk, run.
And now, Akbar Hassan, only on Wake Up with Word.
Good morning. This is Solomon Jones on 900 AM, 96.1 FM, WURD, and we welcome Akbar Hassan. He's a personal financial advisor counseling individuals and small businesses. He has 3 decades of corporate finance experience in 2 of the world's largest law firms. He unwraps the mystery of money, offering practical, insightful, and easy-to-understand guidance. Akbar, good morning.
Good morning, Solomon. How are you?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm doing good. I'm doing good. I had to turn off the news for a while this week and watch something else because I had to the brain was just getting too full there.
It's a lot, man. It's a lot.
Yeah.
And
it's a lot.
I think one thing, and I've been talking about that this morning, that I really was encouraged by was the way that I saw Black folks have a sense of mission and purpose and really unite around that mission and purpose.
Yes. We definitely did that. But there was something else that you mentioned also. You mentioned about how we have to press forward economically.
That's right. That was my next question.
The last 4 years, I've just seen tremendous growth in Black businesses, just starting and prospering, and not only in Philadelphia or the United States, but all across the world. And we need to just put the foot down on the accelerator and keep on going. This motivated us. This lit the fire with a can-do attitude, and I love to see that we are supporting each other. And again, supporting people who support us, but also, like I said, supporting each other. And we just need to continue on that path. And wonderful things will happen to us if we just continue down that road. That's all we need to do. Don't let up.
Yeah, and I really do think that's the next front in the battle for Black advancement. In America and beyond. It has to be about economics, and we have to understand. I think that. Not only do we get our own house in order economically, but we got to help each other. I really do think that.
Yep. That's it. That's the key. And once people use that key to unlock those circumstances, well, the world is our oyster. So it's like most things. The answer is easy, but it's work to do. So but we're doing it.
Yeah, absolutely. So. What is the question that we have from our listener this week, Akbar?
So the question is, I'm shopping for the holidays and notice a number of online stores offer no interest financing. Did I notice a catch? I didn't notice a catch, except it had to be fully paid by a certain time period. How do they make their money? Am I missing something? That's a very good question and very timely. Right now, a lot of people are doing online shopping, as you know, aware, because of the corona and other issues. But some people are doing it for the holidays. Some people are doing it for retail therapy. Some people are doing it out of boredom. But the fact is, that is the way of the world now, and I don't think there's no backing away from that. I read someplace that $190 billion will be spent online just in November and December. So, which is a huge increase over prior years. Don't know the percentage, but I think it's over like 30% over prior years. So, with that said, people want to make money off of you. So, that's where people are spending money, and so people want to make money off of you. So, how do they do it? With financing. All right, so there's 2 types of financing when you go buy stuff online. There's store financing, all right, and there's something called point-of-sale financing, all right? So the store financing is when you go to an online site and they offer you a store credit card right there. Sign up right now for 48 months interest free or blah blah blah. And if you read all the advertisement in front of your face, they don't usually mention anything about how much interest there is or anything. They just say free, 48 months free, 0% interest. Boom. That's how they get you. They don't tell you that if you miss your payment, all right, it's 25 to 30% interest. All right. That's buried down there, all right? So that's something to realize, all right? So store financing, a long term, usually 48 months, and they do a hard pull on your credit report, all right? Let's compare that to point-of-sale financing. Point-of-sale is a little bit more slicker, a little more easier to swallow, a little bit more convenient. It's like putting booze in Kool-Aid. You don't know it's there. All right? So when you go check out, usually there's these little pictures of, you call different credit cards, or you want to do PayPal, and then there's pictures of some other items. And these other little cards that have pop up, if you click on them, they allow you to pay your purchase within 4 payments. And usually it'll take it from your debit card, but it does a soft pull, all right? A soft pull does not affect your credit report. They do a soft pull just to see if you're making your payments on time, because their payback period is usually 4 months, not 48 months. So they don't need to pull. They don't need to do a hard pull. They do a soft pull. But again, if you miss this payment, if you cannot pay that 1 month or something happens, you're up there paying 25 to 30%. Right?
And interest.
Interest. Okay. So again, that drinking that Kool-Aid with that booze in it, that gives you a hangover. Right? And that's what happens. They make their money, to answer the question, the money is made 2 ways. Primarily off of you when you miss that payment. Because what a lot of people do, they tend to overspend. Right? They tend to say, okay, 48 months, okay, I'm going to buy a bunch of stuff I don't need, because most of these stores are clothing stores. All right? I'm not saying you don't need it, but you don't need to go in debt for it. You don't need to go in debt into something that's going to be worthless in a few months or a few years. All right? But, humans, we are humans, and that's what we do. So the question is, can you afford the monthly payment? If you can afford the monthly payment, then, go ahead and do it. And if you pay it on time, then the more power to you. You won the race. You won. But a lot of people lose this crapshoot and go into debt. So what I would advise, well, first thing, I would say don't even do it. If you can't afford to buy those 2 pair of jeans, and pay for it one time, do you really need it that bad? If it's something of an emergency, if you need a new dryer or washer or whatever, I get it. But as far as a couple pair of sneakers, and most of these point of sale deals are with clothing stores, all right? Things that are expendable, all right? But a lot of the younger generation, that's what they like. They like that convenience. They like the ability to spread it over, because a lot of jobs nowadays don't pay enough to pay for something in one payment, so that's what they do. They offer that. I would say, save your money first. Do it the reverse. Instead of spreading something, instead of buying something now and paying for it in installments, how about save the installments, right? Save the money now and pay for it in one shot. That's why I will always argue that's the way to do it. But that's how they make their money. They make their money off of you missing your payments. So just look out, be wary of this, and be armed, be ready, and safe and happy shopping. But don't go into debt doing it.
I know that's right. That is Akbar Hassan. Akbar Hassan, of course, is a financial advisor, and he counsels individuals and small businesses. He has 3 decades of corporate finance experience in 2 of the world's largest law firms. He unwraps the mystery of money, offering practical, insightful, and easy to understand guidance. Akbar, how do people get in touch with you?
I'm on Twitter at AKHassanReal and email at akbar-hassan@comcast.net.
All right. That is Akbar Hassan. Akbar, thanks so much.
Thank you, Solomon.
All right. All right. So we got a couple minutes, so we want to hear from you. Give us a call, 215-634-8065. That is 215-634-8065. That is the number that you can call to get in on the conversation. Let's go to Shaheem from New Jersey on line 1. Go ahead, Shaheem.
Good morning, young man. How you doing? I appreciate you taking my call.
You're welcome.
Getting back to this fiasco that we're going through, it may seem like the nightmare is over, but for some reason I got this tunnel vision, this foresight that says that, we don't got the next 4 years is going to be hard because Joe Biden is going to have to do something like Obama did, like bring back the economy to get a second term. But if he doesn't, you got to understand, there's 700 million Trump supporters who are going to continuously be
70 million.
And even though Trump is a buffoon, I think his son is an even more dangerous buffoon. And we will see him in 8 years running, and he will have this base. If Biden doesn't do something to get reelected, and we can get some Democrats that can move the needle, I think we're going to see another Trump in about 8 years, even worse than this guy right here. So sleep easy tonight because we know it's over. He can go kicking and screaming, but he's going to go. Come January 20th, they're going to drag him out of there. I don't care. Trust me, they're going to drag him out.
Yeah.
This ride for you is over. You're out, but it's going to be tough for the next 4. And I enjoyed the economic information that the young man that was on just now gave. That he is so correct. If you can afford it, get it all at one time. Don't try to get into debt. And with that, man, have a blessed day. Be safe. All right.
Thank you. You too. And I want to thank you for your call this morning on WURD. Let's go to Olanian on line 2. Go ahead, Olanian.
Good morning. I just woke up, so I don't know what happened in the news so far. I turned on the radio, and I heard that there was an attempt by some men to attack the convention center where the counting is going on.
They got arrested.
They got arrested, which is quite interesting. Yeah. And it also combines with the issue of a few days ago, they tried to kidnap a governor from somewhere in the Midwest. Are you familiar with
Michigan.
That? Yeah, so that's quite interesting. That really sounds like the white supremacists are trying to be physical. All right, thanks.
Yeah, we talked about it a little bit earlier in the show that you had some guys trying to come up here from Virginia, talk about they was going to attack the convention center. They were arrested. Police found some weapons in their car and just craziness, man. But this is what happens when you have a president who doesn't care about anybody but himself. Now you losing legitimately, and the reason that you're losing is really it's your own fault. It's your own fault. We wouldn't need mail-in ballots if the coronavirus hadn't raged through the country and killed over 230,000 people. We wouldn't need mail-in ballots if you didn't have over 9 million people infected. We wouldn't need mail-in ballots if we weren't in a second wave of this coronavirus where the infections are increasing exponentially. We wouldn't need mail-in ballots if it wasn't for you. Undermining the advice of Dr. Fauci and the other specialists who deal with this, claiming that people don't need to wear masks, laughing at people for trying to protect their health. Like, if it wasn't for you, coronavirus wouldn't be this bad, and we wouldn't have needed mail-in ballots in the way that we do. But we did need them, and so when we got them, right, Donald Trump messed himself up again by telling everybody, oh, the mail-in ballots are corrupt, the mail-in ballots are it's a disaster, this and that. Okay, you did all of that, and what you did was you discouraged your own people, your own supporters from using mail-in ballots. Third thing you did wrong is not understanding how votes are counted. I mean, not just for this election, but always. The way that votes are always counted is that you count the in-person votes first, and then you count the absentee ballots or the mail-in ballots after that. And so you create this crisis around the coronavirus that makes us need these ballots. Then you undermine the ballots so that your people don't use them. And then you wonder why that all your people voted in person, and then as the mail-in ballots come in, they from the other side. Donald Trump did this to himself. right, by a series of missteps and just running his mouth. You're so used to just lying and saying whatever that you didn't realize that you were undermining your own effort to get reelected. This is not because of the people who are counting the votes in the convention center. This is not because of the people who are counting the votes in Detroit. This is not because of the people who are counting the votes in Georgia or Arizona or Nevada or any of these other places where you're losing. It's because of you. Like, you did it to yourself. I want to hear from you. Give me a call, 215-634-8065. Gary from Roxborough is on line one. Go ahead, Gary.
Good morning, WURD Radio. I'm really appreciative of how much information and how much dialogue that you guys put out to the world every day. It's amazing. But
Thank
we
you, brother.
need brothers and sisters like you, a radio station like this, to tussle with the tough subjects. I had a question.
Yes.
Do you think Donald Trump is reliving the sins of his forefathers? And the reason
I don't know.
And the reason I ask that question is, I listened to a sermon by Dr. Pastor William Barber, and the name of that sermon is called "We Can't Stay Here." If you get a minute, check it out. Love you.
Okay. All right. Love you back, brother. And I want to thank you so much for your call this morning on WURD Radio. We appreciate you as always. And if you want to get in, it is 215-634-8065. That is 215-634-8065. That is the number that you can call to get in on the conversation right here at WURD Radio. Let us know where you are in these various things we're talking about. Of course, you can also weigh in on Facebook at 4WURD. That's FORWURD, FORWURD, and many of you are doing just that. Nikki Carter says this: it's ridiculous. They just caught 2 of those QAnon guys here in Philly. They called a bomb threat to the convention center from their Hummer. His followers are all about anarchy. I really can't understand how any minority could back this dude. He wouldn't care if these supremacists killed any black or brown person, just saying, well, they're both good people and they're just misunderstood. Yeah, that's probably what he would say. Linda Brooks says this: did you see the 2 guys the FBI arrested coming from down south to the convention center to intimidate? Neither did I, because they didn't show their face. The media just mentioned it, so you can imagine who it is, because if it was us, our photo would have been plastered all over the place. They arrested them. Kim Wheeler says, good morning, all. Thank you for being there, Solomon. So thankful. Votes continue to be counted. They are speaking loudly, and for also those who unfortunately died from COVID. Thank you, God. Nikki Carter says, he is so desperate, trying to still play that Jedi mind game like he played with the media over the years. Everything is fake news. He's embarrassing. We also got another comment from Kim Wheeler who says, okay, we read that already. And we got another one from Deborah Dorn Carter who says, preach, Solomon, tell the truth and shame the devil. It will be Biden as our next president. 45 is not going to take this lying down or properly won't concede. May God have mercy on the United States of America. So that's what she had to say. And we have some other comments as well. One from Zen Motley, who says this: good morning, WURD family. The people who voted for Trump, whether they're black or white, and there's good people on both sides, they need to question their actions. We're going to go to break. On the other side, we're going to continue the show with your calls, 215-634-8065. That is 215-634-8065. I'm Solomon Jones. We'll be right back.
Do you have a K-12 student who does not have reliable internet at home? PHL Connected is here to provide eligible students with free high-speed internet to make sure they always stay connected to digital learning. Dial 211 and press 1 to ask questions and get connected today for free. The hotline is open 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, so call anytime. That's 211 to get your student PHL connected today.
Want the latest in WURD swag?
Check out the shop tab on WURDradio.com. Hoodies, tees, and more in a variety of colors. The shop tab on WURDradio.com. Show the world that you're all about black.
Talk Media.
You're waking up
with WURD.
Hosted by Solomon Jones.
Good morning.
Right now on WURD Radio.
96.1 FM.
And 900 AM WURD.
Good morning. This is Solomon Jones on 900 AM, 96.1 FM, WURD. And I want to welcome you back to Wake Up with WURD. We are talking about a number of things on this morning's show, including our top 3 stories, which are story number 1. Last night, as mail-in ballots were counted and Trump's leads in Georgia and Pennsylvania became smaller and smaller. The president called a fake press conference in the White House and did something no president has ever done. He pushed conspiracy theories and lies while votes are still being counted, attempting to undermine the results of an election he is poised to lose. Story number 2, criminal justice reform, of course, at the forefront of the presidential race, and the George Floyd case is one of the biggest reasons why. A judge on Thursday rejected defense requests to move the trial of 4 former Minneapolis police officers charged in George Floyd's death, and also ordered that all 4 will be tried together instead of separately. And of course, story number 3, my commentary for the day, I believe Donald Trump will be out soon. That'll happen despite the people coming to Philadelphia to protest the vote count, despite the people with Confederate flags and Trump posters, despite the president lying about everything from who's running the election to why he's losing. We will have a new president. But just keeping it 100, that's not what's going to save our community. We got to save our community because we got to take care of us. Anytime nearly 70 million Americans voted for a man they know is a racist, we got to take care of us, because these are the same people smiling in your face at work, teaching your kids at school, patrolling your neighborhood streets, and claiming they're sorry when they turn you down for a bank loan. We got to take care of us, because no matter who the president is, these 70 million people who voted for racism will still be at your job, in your hood, in your face, and in positions of power. We don't know who they are. We don't know what they're thinking. We don't know what they'll do. But I tell you what we got to do. We got to take care of us. I want to hear from you. Give me a call, 215-634-8065. That is 215-634-8065. You can also weigh in on Facebook at 4WURD. Let's go to the phone lines and talk to Ia from Southwest on line 2. Good morning.
Good morning. This is my first time calling in, and I'm a relatively new listener, and I love your show.
Thank you.
I want to say that 4 years ago, when I heard that 53% of white women supported Trump, I was shocked, and I actually put up a Facebook comment about that. It's like the wolf in sheepskin. You can't. You really got to turn inside and look at and realize that we have the power and the strength within. Like I said in my post 4 years ago, these are the same people that smile in your face, that you break bread with, that really don't have your best interest at heart. They really do not support you, and it's time for us to do us. It really, really is. If this election in the last 12 years, back from Obama years, if it hasn't shown you that we have to really come together and get our agenda in order, it's time. It really, really is.
Yes, it is. Yes, it is. Ia, I want to thank you so much for being a new listener, and thank you so much for calling in. We hope to hear from you even more. So thank you for your call this morning on WURD. Miss Dunn in Overbrook is on line 1. Good morning.
Good morning, sir. Solomon, I want you to know this first.
Mm-hmm.
I am so proud how you have taken up this handle and worked it.
Thank you.
Because, I mean, you can see more than what's going on now. You can see down the road of these. And you know, people's frying chicken and bacon grease. I don't know where that came from. So I'm old, probably about 60 or 70 years old. But anyway, it's the good thing about it is that I'm feeling that you got the path laid out. It's almost like algebra and geometry. We got a path laid out. It's not straight, but it's a lot to be done in different corners. So just suppose we started and say, we want in Philadelphia to pick our school board, period. Not the governor, not the mayor, the people who live here, based on what those people bring to the table for our children. We ain't going to have people in 11th grade reading on a 3rd grade level. That's just ridiculous. And the schools, horrible. All the old schools need to be torn down because we need new lines in. We need new lines in from the street into these houses. And they can do it. And as much as we give, every time they want something, they come to us and put it on us. They don't put it on them. That's the reason why. How do they say it? 1% got 60% of the wealth. And what do we have? We're losing our houses day after day after day. And now I'm going to come back to us, what we need to do for us. More love and respect. More love and respect for each other. And it's hard to do when you've been doing it all the time. It's somebody else's fault. Let's look at us. Just examine us. See, where do we want to go? And we've got to tell us why. Why we need to do this.
Ms. Dunn, I want to thank you so much for your call this morning on WURD. I am so encouraged by what I've seen from black folks in this election. The reason why Joe Biden's campaign survived, remember, he was behind before they got to South Carolina, and black folks resurrected his campaign. He needed to put Jim Clyburn in a cabinet position, the congressman from South Carolina who endorsed him. And black folks trusted what Jim Clyburn said because he has been around for years, has served the community for years in various capacities, and they trusted what Jim Clyburn said, and they went out and they gave Joe Biden South Carolina, right? Black folks lining up in cities all across this country because what we've seen over the last 4 years is pure, unabashed, unashamed, uncovered racism driven by the president himself. And the way that I saw black people unite in this election is the same way that we need to unite around economics, the same way that we need to unite, to Ms. Dunn's point, around education, the same way that we need to unite around helping each other up instead of pushing each other down. Like you know, I've seen us unite, and now we have to unite going forward because you got 70 million people who voted for racism, and we have no idea who those people are. That's why the polls were wrong. Because when the pollsters called them and said, who are you voting for? They didn't want to say that they were voting for Donald Trump. They didn't want to be seen as racist, and so they lied to the pollsters. That's why the polls are wrong. Not because of some nefarious plot by pollsters to suppress the vote. No, that's ridiculous. They trying to get it right. But they didn't because the people that they called lied to them. Just like their leader continues to lie to us. I want to hear from you. Give me a call, 215-634-8065. That is 215-634-8065. Let's talk to Rose from West Philly on line 3. Go ahead, Rose.
Good morning, Solomon. What a wonderful show this is today. I think people are calling with such great ideas. And
they really are.
And how we as black people have the ability to come together. We just got to do it. But I want to let you know, and I'm sure many of them know, Trumpism is not going anywhere even when he leaves the White House.
I agree.
I agree. He's going to be an agitator. He's going to be a rebel rouser with that Twitter. And he's going to keep those people riled up. And we know that the police unions backed Trump.
Yep.
To keep our eyes on the justice that's being meted out to our black people, because they will take it out on them. They're angry. They lost. We got to be ever vigilant about that.
Agreed.
But
agreed.
You know, we just have to do what we have to do.
I agree, and I want to thank you so much for your call this morning on WURD Radio. And I want to hear from you. If you want to get in, it's 215-634-8065. That is 215-634-8065. That is the number that you can call to get in on the conversation right here at WURD Radio. You can, of course, also weigh in on Facebook. Let's talk to Senator Street. He's on line 6. Sharif Street, good morning.
Hey, good morning, Solomon. How are you?
I'm good, man. How you doing?
You know what? Haven't gotten a lot of sleep, but really good. Just so pleased with the way black folks nationwide, but especially in Philadelphia, showed up. And Solomon, I just wanted to touch on something that you brought up, and I think it's important for us to focus on as a community. And I'm glad you're the first person, at least in the media, I've heard talk about it, but it's something privately folks are talking about, which is the composition of the Biden administration, and we need to be looking at that. And I think you are in the right, I would say sort of right church, wrong pew. I do think that we need to be looking at our leadership and making sure that they're reflected. I pray that Jim Clyburn doesn't lead the Congress, because we don't have any black Congress people as powerful as him in the country. But I think people like Dwight Evans, people like Cedric Richmond, Sister Bass out in California, all should be considered because they all did extraordinary work to do that. We should be looking at organizations like the Small Business Administration. That's an organization that could do well to have a black person at the helm. We need to be looking at the Department of Housing and Urban Development, Department of Transportation. Those are places where opportunities for black people to do and grow businesses, and having people of color in the administration, and specifically some of them be black people, is important. And I think that will happen. But I think as a community, that's a discussion we need to have. The moment it's clear that he's the Democrat, that he is the president-elect, that's a discussion we should have. And I think he's going to be the president-elect before the end of today.
I agree. Now, that's interesting, because Clyburn does have a lot of seniority, and of course in Congress, seniority is power, and so that is right. In terms of whether Clyburn should stay in Congress or not, he does. He has a lot of power there, and that's something to be considered. But you got to have some folks, and not just any black folks. I'm talking about black folks that's going to look out for the community in that cabinet. And we need to be coming to get ours, because it's because of us that he's in that position.
And that should be part of the discussion that you're having today. And your caller should be weighing in with people they think should be, because it shouldn't be like it shouldn't be celebrities either. It should be black people who have done things, whether it's in medicine or journalism, or they've done things in politics, because politicians this is a political arena. We should be looking at those kind of black people who can make an impact on the trillions of dollars of resources that the federal government is going to push out every year. And so I didn't want to, Solomon, I just was listening, and I thought you were, and I saw some of the call, you said it, and I was like, man, he really is about to start a great conversation if people latch onto it. And I just want to encourage the listeners and other people to start giving that some real thought, because too often we do the work to get the victory, but then everybody else is now lining up to figure out what are they going to get out of this. And sometimes our committee falls back, and we say it's over, we won. No, now it's time for us to start collecting on all of our hard work.
You're exactly right. Senator Sharif Street, thank you so much for your call this morning on WURD. I think you are dead on. Let's go to Wendy in South Carolina. She's on line 2. Go ahead, Wendy.
Hi. I was calling from South Carolina, and what I want to talk about is that genie in the bottle. We as African Americans must know that the genie has always been outside of the bottle. Just like the great Will Smith said, racism is not just getting worse, it's getting filmed. So, and my thing is, black people, we're the ones that are asleep. We're the ones that have been asleep. You know what I mean? And we shouldn't be surprised by racism and what it is. Donald Trump didn't start racism. It's not going to end with racism. And when Biden is in the White House, racism will still be here. Ask Trayvon Martin. That was during the Obama administration. We have to be woke. And my thing is, we as black people, we need to be watchful as well as pray. You hear me? And we, for too long, for me, for African Americans, we're seeking assimilation instead of equality. We need to stop seeking assimilation and seek equality. Period.
So what is it? Well, wait a minute, Wendy. What is it that you think we need to do?
Me personally,
yeah,
what I've been doing my whole life is being watchful, prayerful, and we also have to be united. We have to be united as African Americans. And it's economics. We have to unite about our economics.
Okay.
We have to boycott things if we can have the discipline to, if we can discipline ourselves to boycott things now. That's the point. We're not united and disciplined enough to boycott things.
I hear you, and I agree with what you're saying, and I want to thank you for your call. I don't agree that we're not disciplined enough to boycott things, because what I saw in this last election means that if we have a clear goal, and if we have a clear mission and a clear action that we can engage in, then we'll do it. I think the problem is that too many times we don't have a clear mission, we don't have a clear goal, and we don't have a clear action. You know what I mean? I've heard people call me over the years and say, we just need to take one day and just don't spend no money on nothing. That's not going to happen. It's too broad, right? We need to take a page out of the book of those who oppose us, right? And we need to attack things with surgical precision. I'll give you an example, right? In North Carolina, when they scuttled the Voting Rights Act in North Carolina, they passed a series of laws that when those laws were passed, black folks went to court, and the judge said that those laws that were passed in North Carolina, they weren't just general laws, that those laws attacked black voters with surgical precision, right? That's the way we need to fight, with surgical precision, not these broad, everybody just do, no, because everybody ain't gonna do that. You need to give people a very clear goal and a very clear action to take, and that's how you win. And guess what? Joe Biden is winning in Pennsylvania. He just surpassed Donald Trump in the vote count in Pennsylvania. We're going to talk about that on the other side of this break. I am Solomon Jones. This is WURD. We'll be right back.
What's up, everyone? I know you know the word, no, not the station, but this word, J-O-B that is, and our friends at Amoroso's Baking Company are hiring right now. Amoroso's has been baking the delicious bread in our community for over 100 years, and they want you to join their team today. The old and the young love Amoroso's, and they are hiring right now. Check it out. They offer fair pay and provide health, dental, and prescription plans after 90 days employment. Call 856-754-0355 or visit amorososbaking.com for details.
This is not a fad for us.
We will not resume our regular programming when things die down. We're not black to help our bottom line or because it's politically correct. We're not joining a fight. This has been our fight, our message, our people. Black lives have always mattered here. We are
Undeniably,
indefatigably, unapologetically, permanently Black Talk Media.
WURD.
This Veterans Day vignette is brought to you by Rivers Casino Philadelphia.
In recognition of Veterans Day, WURD Radio celebrates the Tuskegee Airmen, the first black aviators in the United States military. The Tuskegee Airmen trained at the Tuskegee Army Airfield in Alabama while facing racial segregation, discrimination, and the denial of fair pay in the armed forces and at home. When dispatched, they flew more than 15,000 units during World War II and earned more than 150 distinguished flying crosses, shattering doubts about their capabilities as black aviators. Their demonstration of excellence contributed to the integration of the United States Armed Forces. As we continue to fight for racial justice today, WURD Radio celebrates the Tuskegee Airmen and other black Americans who have served and continue to serve our country.
This Veterans Day vignette was brought to you by Rivers Casino Philadelphia. Go to betrivers.com to play now.
Hi, this is Jeff Brown from Brown's Family ShopRites and Fresh Grocers. Are you thinking about a part-time job to help out with the cost of the holidays? We have plenty of openings. You can apply online at shoprite.com/careers or freshgrocer.com/careers. Come join the Brown family today and help us serve the people of Philadelphia. Have a great holiday.
Too close to call. And all eyes are on Philly. Stay tuned to WURD. This is WURD Radio. 96.1 FM and 900 AM WURD Philadelphia. Streaming live on WURDradio.com, the WURD Radio app, and watch live on WURD TV via Facebook and YouTube. WURD Radio. Independent Black Media.
It's getting serious on this track, fam.
Good morning. This is Solomon Jones on 900 AM, 96.1 FM, WURD, and I want to welcome you back to Wake Up with WURD. And Biden just passed Donald Trump in the vote count in Pennsylvania. And, you know, it is because of mail-in ballots. And those mail-in ballots, of course, put in place because the coronavirus pandemic was raging, and there was concern about people's safety. And so Donald Trump, because of his leadership or lack thereof, the coronavirus got to the point where people were scared to come out and vote for fear that they might catch this virus. And so all across the country, mail-in ballots were put in place or were offered as an alternative for people. In many states, they had already been in place for decades. And so the mail-in ballots were put in place in response to the coronavirus raging through the country. That's Donald Trump's fault. And then Trump decided that he was going to undermine those mail-in ballots and tell people, oh, they're fraudulent, oh, the mail-in ballots are a mess, oh, it's going to be so much fraud. And when he did that, he discouraged his own voters from using mail-in ballots. And so they came out in droves and they voted in person. But those who voted early, those who used the mail-in ballots, they were, by and large, Democrats. And so now what you are seeing is the result of Donald Trump's own actions. His inaction on the coronavirus created the need for mail-in ballots. Once mail-in ballots were in place, he undermined them and stopped his own voters from using them. And now the people who have used the mail-in ballots are Democrats. And so as those votes are counted, he is losing his leads in some states. He is seeing bigger numbers in the states where Biden was already winning. As we count these ballots, Biden's lead is just going to get larger. That's what's going to happen, and it's due to Donald Trump's own actions. So don't blame the media, don't blame the pollsters, don't blame the people counting the votes, don't blame anybody but yourself. You want to see whose fault this is? Look in the mirror. Because Donald Trump did this to himself. But the question now is, what happens going forward? What do we do as a community? What do we do as a people? But what I want to say to the black voters in Philadelphia is this: we did it. I want to hear from you. Give me a call, 215-634-8065. That is 215-634-8065. Joe Biden has passed Donald Trump in the vote count in Pennsylvania. Last night, he passed Donald Trump in the vote count in Georgia. Joe Biden leading in Arizona, leading in Nevada, and it's only going to be a matter of time before this thing is called for Joe Biden. For us as a community, what is next? I want to hear from you. Give me a call, 215-634-8065. That is 215-634-8065. That is the number that you can call to get in on the conversation right here at WURD Radio. Joe Biden has passed Donald Trump in the vote count in Pennsylvania. What y'all got to say about that? 215-634-8065. That is 215-634-8065. That is the number that you can call to get in on the conversation right here at WURD Radio. You can, of course, also weigh in on Facebook at onWURD. That's FORWURD, FORWURD. Eugene from Maryland is on line 1. Good morning.
Good morning. Good morning. You know, first of all, I want to applaud you. I heard the 2 interviews that you had of Kamala Harris, and I think those 2 interviews helped to make a difference in getting the people out to vote, and I applaud you for that. Now, having said that, where do we go from here? And I'm talking primarily to individuals all over the United States of America. Yesterday, I called the Al Sharpton Show, and this is what I said. I said, now that we are jubilant, that we are likely to win, we must begin campaigning right now, whether it's a local office or whether you're campaigning around a particular issue. I said, Joe and Kamala are an integrated team, and we must take advantage of them and give them some suggestions. And one of my suggestions was that we need to now get parents more involved, the school system more involved. Let's teach black history. Let's teach white supremacy. Yeah, our young boys and girls need to know that because they're going to have to deal with that. We saw what happened in the election. So many white people voted for him. And when these young boys and girls, whether they're in Philadelphia or wherever, when they go to school, look out, because this is going to be ingrained in the minds of the teachers, who are mostly white, and also the young boys and girls in the school. So work for our children, then get the churches involved, then get the parents involved. That's so very, very important.
All right. I want to thank you so much for your call this morning on WURD Radio. Let's go to Gwen from South Philly on line 2. Go ahead, Gwen.
Good morning. I worked the polls this election as usual, and I just wanted to tell my people I am so very proud of them because we had a lot of young people that came out, but the seniors that had a hard time getting out and the ones that really was afraid of this virus, they sent in their ballots. They mailed their ballots in. I mailed my ballot in because I didn't want to be too busy that I couldn't vote. So I'm just so proud of my people for the first time to say they have done their job well. And I hope they don't stop, but now it's time for us to really get together and learn how to love each other. Thank you so much.
I want to thank you so much for your call this morning on WURD. If you want to get in, it is 215-634-8065. That is 215-634-8065. For those just joining us, Joe Biden has now passed Donald Trump in the vote count in Pennsylvania. And I want to hear from you, 215-634-8065. That is 215-634-8065. It is only a matter of time before this thing is called for Joe Biden. He is leading in Arizona, leading in Nevada. He is leading in Pennsylvania, leading in Georgia. It is only a matter of time before this thing is called for Joe Biden. I want to know what you think. Give me a call, 215-634-8065. That is 215-634-8065. That is the number that you can call to get in on the conversation right here at WURD Radio. Let's go to Bruce from Mount Airy on line 1. Go ahead, Bruce.
Hey, good morning, Solomon and the crew.
Good morning.
King Solomon, it's ironic that Donald Trump was on TV firing everybody that was on his show. Now he's getting fired, and that's basically all I had to say. That's kind of funny. I don't want to be laughing about stuff like that, but I gotta say that because it's
you gotta say it. You gotta say it, and I appreciate it, and I want to thank you. The irony is thick with this one. I want to thank you for your call this morning. Yeah, go ahead. All right, let's go back to the phone lines, and let's on line 2. Go ahead, Lynn.
Hello?
Yes.
Hello? Oh, listen.
Yes.
Oh, I didn't hear you say it was Lynn. Okay.
Yep, I did. I said Lynn. Lynn from Darby. How you doing?
All right. How are you? And hey, Word family, and Kayla J, and Jordan, and everybody else that helped make this a fantastic show. Solomon, like everybody said, so proud of our people for getting out there and vote. And you said, what can we do to keep the momentum going? I agree with the lift every voice and sing, man. We got to start with our youth. We got to get them more involved. And like on a women's leadership show, we should start working on our next election, which is in 6 months. And I just want to see us work together with the youth. We could start with our block captains and our ward leaders. And Solomon, one important thing I think we should do, we should get together every Thursday and assign people to go to the council meetings to voice our concerns and what we want and how we could work together and just get some things accomplished. But I think it starts at the grassroots level. We got to work together more, love each other, and we have to support Black more. At the same time, we're uniting. But we got to come up and support each other more. Thank you, Solomon. Have a blessed weekend. Take care now.
All right, you too, and I want to thank you so much for your call this morning on WURD Radio. For those just joining us, Joe Biden has moved ahead in the vote count in Pennsylvania. And Black folks in Philadelphia, I just need y'all to take a bow. I've been saying this for months, that the election would come down to Pennsylvania, which means that it would come down to Philadelphia, and specifically the Black vote in Philadelphia. I said it before Donald Trump said bad things happen in Philadelphia. I said it before Donald Trump started saying that Philadelphia and Detroit, 2 of the most corrupt cities in the country, because I could see where this thing was going and how it was going to go. And so I just need y'all to take a bow. I just need you to take a minute, take a second to pat yourself on the back, Black Philadelphia, because you came out in droves, you came out in numbers, you came out with a mission, you came out with a purpose, and now guess what else is going to come out? Donald Trump. I want to hear from you. Give me a call, 215-634-8065. That is 215-634-8065. Donald Trump is going to be out maybe by the end of the day. I want to hear from you. 215-634-8065 is the number that you can call to get in on the conversation right here at WURD Radio. Let's go to Jay from Hunting Park on line 3. Go ahead, Jay.
Hey, how you doing, Solomon?
Good. How are you?
All right. Hey, Solomon, I just want to say, you work with Man Up PHL and on the radio. Them they just say, but before Tom Joyner retired, he was the hardest working man in radio. Well, you're the hardest working man in talk radio. I'm gonna give you.
Thank you, brother.
Yeah, but we can take a moment to pat ourselves on the back and then go from there. The good thing is that we got him out the White House, and that's all I got to say.
All right, Jay. I want to thank you so much for your call this morning on WURD. Let's go to Diane on line 4. Go ahead, Diane.
Solomon, good morning, and I'm patting myself on the back as we speak right now. Okay? And you know what? You had a big part of because you promoted, you brought out the facts, you kept it real, and that encouraged Philadelphians to vote, not just this month, but you've been doing it all the time. You let us know how important this is. And I want to thank you. And starting tomorrow, we have to come together to work in the community. First thing I would like to do, let's get our politicians, like that young lady just said about on Thursday. Every comment and rebuttal that you have since this morning has been positive. You are our voice of Philadelphia. I told you that. Keep it real. Sugar lady said hey. And
tell her I said hey.
You pat yourself on the back, black man. Love you, Solomon.
Thanks. Love you back, Diane, and I appreciate that. We're getting some comments on Facebook. Sharon Lane said, thank you, Solomon, for making everything that pertains to our community understandable. You are a godsend. Thank you so much for that. I really appreciate it. Valerie Jones says on Facebook, Pennsylvania just flipped to blue. Carmen Iris says, another Philly special. Valerie Jones says, Biden leading in Pennsylvania. And Phyllis Williams says, Solomon, that is so funny. She goes on to say, he discouraged mail-in ballots and he led his followers to the water. Now he's wondering why all the mail-in ballots are in favor of Biden and Biden will win. So that's what Phyllis Williams had to say. Diane Fassett says, okay, that's this YouTube link is the song by Billie Holiday singing Am I Blue? Yes, we are. So that's what Diane Fassett said. And we got one more from Walter Davis who says, this is what happened. When Trump nationally talks about us from Philly, Trump reaps what he sows and looks silly. So that's what he had to say as well. Let's go to Barbara from West Philly on line 1. Go ahead, Barbara.
Good morning, Solomon.
Good morning.
You know, another thing that we need to take into account and to take a deep dive in, that in spite of all the voter suppression, and to look at it in each of the states where we know it was just in your face kind of suppression stuff. In spite of that, look at the closeness of the vote. And I just think we need to look at that too. That's one thing, you know, the news media is not considering.
Yeah, I hear you. And I want to thank you so much for your call this morning on WURD Radio. Of course, if you want to get in, it's 215-634-8065. Let's go to Zaire from West Philly on line 2. Go ahead, Zaire.
Good morning, Solomon.
Good morning, brother.
I bet you Donald Trump is saying Black Lives Matter now.
Okay.
Yeah, we already got a blueprint for what to do. I mean, Malana Karenga, you know, he's had the 7 principles: unity, self-determination, collective work, cooperative economics, purpose, creativity, and peace. All we got to do is implement it. That's it.
Yeah, I hear you, and I want to thank you so much for your call this morning on WURD Radio. If you want to get in, it is, of course, 215-634-8065. That is 215-634-8065. You can, of course, weigh in on Facebook as well at onWURD, FORWURD, FORWURD. Viola Richburg Gray says, I'm in Delaware, but I'm still a true Philadelphian. And Lucy Luson says, good morning, everyone. Go Philly. We did the darn thing. And, of course, we are talking about all of that. Pennsylvania just flipped to blue. So all of those folks, all of you who stood in line, all of you who turned in your ballots early, all of you who voted by mail, take a bow because Pennsylvania just flipped for your candidate. Now the real work begins, because guess what? You in office because of black folks. You're going to be the president-elect because of black folks. Now we coming because the bill is due. We got some things that we need. We need some money for our businesses. We need some money for HBCUs. We need all of those things that Kamala Harris talked about in my interviews with her, and we are looking for those things to come to fruition now that you are in. And then beyond that, we got to take care of us. We are going to go to break, and on the other side, we are going to talk with our next guest right here on WURD.
Man, this coronavirus has us all moving differently.
No doubt. Like washing our hands more and social distancing with the crew. I'm always telling people to give me 6 feet. We're here, Grandma.
There's my babies. Good to see you got your mask on.
Wear mask. Stop the spread. For
For more information, visit www.pa.gov/COVID.
Paid for with Pennsylvania taxpayer dollars.
Monday through Thursday, keep it locked to WURD Radio. At 6 a.m., start your day with the Power Hour, hosted by Bishop Dwayne Royster and Reverend Mark Kelly Tyler. At 7, it's Wake Up with WURD with Solomon Jones. At 10 a.m., it's Reality Check with Charles Ellison. Then at 1 p.m., it's The Source, hosted by Andrea Lawful Sanders on Mondays, Tuesdays, and Thursdays, and the Black Women's Leadership Council on Wednesdays. At 4 p.m., it's Evening Words with Nick Taliaferro. Then at 7, it's Save Space with Sincerely Sarita. At 9 p.m., round up your day with Keeping It Real with the Reverend Al Sharpton. Keep your dial locked to WURD Radio, 96.1 FM and 900 AM WURD. Streaming live on WURDradio.com and the WURD Radio app. Or watch live on WURD TV via Facebook and YouTube. WURD Radio. Independent Black Media. Keeping you informed. As a community service, WURD Radio and the Black Doctors COVID-19 Consortium wants to keep you informed about where you can get no-cost, barrier-free COVID-19 testing this week. Thursday, November 5th, from 3 p.m. till 7 p.m. at 1312 Willow Street, Norristown, Pennsylvania. And Saturday, November 7th, from 12 noon till 3 p.m. at Victory Christian Fellowship, 5220 Whitby Avenue in Philadelphia. Stay informed and stay well with WURD Radio. 96.1 FM and 900 AM WURD.
Back by popular demand.
It's Wake Up with WURD, hosted by Solomon Jones. Right now on WURD Radio.
96.1 FM
and 900 AM WURD.
Good morning. This is Solomon Jones on 900 AM and 96.1 FM WURD. And I want to welcome you back to Wake Up with WURD. Joining us now is Deja Moore. She is a general assignment reporter for the Boston Globe's Metro Desk. She joins us to talk about her recent article, which she co-authored, that examines how Black people have been feeling about this election. Good morning. How are you?
Good morning, Solomon. Thank you so much for having me on.
Yep, it's a pleasure. Have I pronounced your first name right?
Yes, it's Deja.
Okay, good. So this election, where we just found out this morning that Pennsylvania has just flipped for Joe Biden. Georgia, of course, flipped for Joe Biden last night. Joe Biden is going to be the president-elect, but Black folks have a lot of issues with what is going on with the election, and it's really not about who wins or loses. You wrote about that. What are you hearing from Black folks around this election?
Yes, my colleague Deanna Pan and I wrote this piece on Wednesday in the wake of a night of really undecided results. And so we were talking to Black voters, mostly here in Massachusetts, who felt on Wednesday morning that they were waking up to a country that had not chosen a winner yet, but also had not delivered an unmistakable, clear rebuke of the Trump administration. And so many voters of color, but also Black voters in particular, found that to be really hurtful and, a revelation, not of new information, but more of a confirmation of what many voters already felt, which is that this country has a deep and unshakable commitment to white supremacy, that even a pandemic, even 4 years of rhetoric from the Trump administration did not disrupt for many white voters in particular.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I've been talking about this morning the fact that you had almost 70 million people vote for Donald Trump. And that is, I mean, it is hurtful because I think we've all watched the same thing, and I think that Americans have come to kind of different conclusions about what we've seen. And so when you talk to folks about that lack of that rebuke, I know you talked about people being hurt, but was there also some anger around that?
There was absolutely anger, especially from people who spent most of the spring and summer organizing their communities. Of course, here in Massachusetts, it's a pretty blue state, but even outside of the presidential election, people are just starting to feel that all of the work that went into the summer in the wake of George Floyd's killing and Breonna Taylor's killing, the support that those protests initially saw waned throughout the summer. And I think a lot of people who were organizing this summer felt pretty angry about where that work and effort had gone and what it had manifested or hasn't manifested yet.
Yeah. And so was there a sense of where we kind of go from here now that we know that there is not this rebuke, and in fact that half the country really is embracing this racism? Was there a sense of where do we go from here?
Absolutely. One of our city councilors here in Boston, we ended the piece with a quote saying, "We are the ones we're waiting for." And that was really a theme that continued throughout the conversation because, as we've seen throughout this election, it's Black voters and brown voters in Philly, in Atlanta, in Savannah, in Phoenix that have really made a big difference in the final result. And we've also seen that throughout American history, it's really people of color at the front lines of leading change for racial justice and advocating for their own communities.
We're talking with Deja Moore from the Boston, and a colleague co-authored a piece in which the headline was, "In a Close Election, Some Black Americans See a Clear Winner, Racism." I'm curious about the response. I do a little writing myself. And I know how the response can look to a piece like this. What has the response been to yours?
Yeah, I mean, online we've gotten a lot of good responses from Black and brown communities here in Boston who, want every opportunity to tell their stories and have recognition here in Massachusetts and also around the country when people don't necessarily think of Boston as a diverse city that actually has vibrant Black and brown communities. But, there's also been pushback for sure. Emails from people who identify themselves as both Trump and Biden voters saying that, recognizing or pointing to racism is racism itself. So
I love that. I get that a lot.
I'm sure.
So in terms of just really pointing this out and laying it there for the readers, what response do you hope or what result do you hope will come from this conversation, a conversation that certainly doesn't end here, but a conversation that you've played a key role in? What do you hope for as a result?
Absolutely. I've seen it, the Democratic Party as well. Both parties have to do a better job of listening to voters of color, of understanding the nuances within that, and that no voting bloc is a monolith. So I believe that conversation has really started in earnest this year, and I hope that continues. I also hope that, something we heard from a lot of the people we interviewed was that it's so much bigger than one election, one president, and I share their hope that people remain committed and attentive to issues of racial equity and justice and know that it's no one thing. It requires thinking about systems more broadly.
That is Deja Moore. She's a general assignment reporter for the Boston Globe's Metro Desk. She joins us to talk about the article that she co-wrote with a colleague called "In a Close Election, Some Black Americans See a Clear Winner, racism. I want to thank you so much for your work and for joining us this morning on WURD.
Thank you. I really appreciate it.
All right. All right. So I want to hear from you. Give us a call, 215-634-8065. That is 215-634-8065. That is the number that you can call to get in on the conversation right here at WURD Radio. Got some news for you. Pennsylvania has just flipped blue. And so Joe Biden in the lead in Pennsylvania as the ballots continue to be counted. 96% of the expected votes in Pennsylvania have been counted. Joe Biden now in the lead over Donald Trump. Joe Biden also leading in Georgia. Joe Biden leading in Nevada, leading in Arizona. And so it is only a matter of time before this race is over. But you know what? Our struggle for justice is not over. And so black folks saved Joe Biden's campaign. There is no doubt about that. There was no question about that. We understood who could be elected. We understood who we knew, and we understood what we wanted. And so now the bill is due. We coming. You know what I mean? So I interviewed Kamala Harris, talked to her twice, and many of the things that they talked about, I think, are things that are very attractive in terms of what the black community needs. Right? They talked about investing in black businesses, small businesses. She showed an understanding of what is happening with small businesses here in the city of Philadelphia. They talked about investing in historically black colleges and universities. They talked about creating opportunities for black people to advance. Our next battlefront, in my view, is economic. It is economic. Right? Making sure that we take care of ourselves. And it was interesting because one of the things that Deja said is the thing that I've been talking about all morning is simply this: we got to take care of us. We have to do that. We can't depend on Joe Biden to do that. We can't depend on Kamala Harris to do that. We can't depend on someone outside of our community to do that. We can't depend on other folks to do that. Now, we have to lay out our own agenda. And make folks come along with our own agenda for lifting our community. But you know who has to play the biggest role in that? Us. Us. We got to lift each other up instead of putting each other down. We have to make sure that our kids understand that they are victors and not victims. We have to make sure that our children understand that they are winners and not losers. We have to make sure that our children see us working together so that they learn how to work together so that we can solve some of the issues that we are dealing with in our community. Many of those issues, you can point to the problems that we have economically, the problems that really stem from white supremacy. But we are in a position where we can solve some of those problems and begin dealing with some of those problems for ourselves. I want to hear from you. Give me a call, 215-634-8065. That is 215-634-8065. Philip is on line one. Go ahead, Philip. Go ahead, Philip.
Can you hear me?
I can hear you now. Go ahead, brother.
Hey, Philip from Boston here. Solomon, I just want to say long-time listener, first-time caller. And I just want to say Boston wants to salute you. Boston wants to salute Philly. And I'm saying that as a long-time organizer. I did political organizing. I've done labor and community organizing. And why I say that's important, because many conversations I've had with people on the ground, they often say, why should I vote? And I'm talking about black people in the black community say, why should I vote? It doesn't matter. But Philly represented, and I hope that this echoes throughout the nation, why voting matters. And I want to say that you have echoed that and you have yelled that every morning to me and my family. And we just want to salute you, brother, and congratulate all the work that you've done, man. You've been an inspiration. Thank you.
Thank you, brother. I appreciate that. And, of course, we love our brothers and sisters up in Boston, and we in the struggle with y'all. So this has been just a revelation for me Because what it shows me, beyond, Biden, being on the cusp of being the president-elect, beyond all of that, what this has shown to me is that when black people have a clear mission, right, and a clear goal, and a clear action that we can take in order to accomplish that mission, guess what? We happy to work together and get it done. We happy to make it happen, right? And, seeing black folks, man, in line for weeks, turning in their mail-in ballots at those satellite offices, man, lining up to do it, man, for weeks. This is not about the line that showed up on election day, and those lines was deep. You know what I mean? This is about the lines that were showing up in the days leading up to election day, in the weeks leading up to election day, turning in those mail-in ballots at those satellite offices, putting them in drop boxes, not only in Philadelphia, but in other places around the country, making sure that we did everything that we could to vote, and really taking it seriously, man. I had people calling me like, yo, I haven't seen my mail-in ballot yet. Could you ask some questions for me? I'm making calls for other people to make sure that their ballots can get counted. People took it seriously, man. And if we can do that, imagine what we could do around economics. Imagine what we could do around education. Imagine what we could do around our families, man. If we have the same kind of mission, dedication, and action, imagine what we can do. That's what this whole thing says to me. That's what it says to me. Because guess what? We got to take care of us. Because and we should take a minute. We should take a minute to just pat ourselves on the back. We should take a minute to really congratulate our community and all of the people in it who played a role in this. But then it's time to get to work. Then it's time to make this thing happen. Then it's time for us to say, look, we got to take care of us. I want to hear from you. 215-634-8065. That is 215-634-8065. Let's go to Anthony from Delaware on line 1. Go ahead, Anthony.
Good morning, Solomon. What I'm looking
brother.
for is when they start that bull stuff, some senators and all like institutions, I'm looking for Joe Biden and Kamala Harris to shine a spotlight on them. While they doing their little underhanded and not cooperating, I want them to be revealed and drag them right on television. I don't want them to, to say, well, it's okay and we'll work with you, because they're still there and they're going to be in opposition to what we're trying to do. Now, Solomon, you got a good direction you going this morning, and I want to stay here with the station. But the next person to come on and go down some rabbit hole, and I don't like that. Take care.
I hear you, man. All right, man. I want to thank you, Anthony, for your call this morning. They're going to do it, but I want to thank you for your call this morning on WRD. Let's go to Renee from West Oak Lane on line 2. Go ahead, Renee.
Yeah, good morning, Solomon. I heard about the United States we're turning blue, but as we as black people, because this president and his white faces supporters, they're going to be more vicious than ever now. And we really have to, you've seen how they followed the Biden bus, the Trump supporters, and then this president tried to flip it like they were protecting the Biden bus. Mm-hmm. Now, we know these white racist people, they do sneak attacks. So we're going to have to be more vigilant as black people to protect ourselves, each other, our sons, our daughters, our families, and our communities. I'm thinking that we need a support team on each of our blocks, like we have block captains, so we could protect ourselves and each other. That's what I just want to put that out there.
All right, I want to thank you for your call this morning on WRD. We're going to go to break. On the other side, we're going to get Ryan from Houston. He's weighing in from Houston. And, of course, if you want to get in, it's 215-634-8065. I'm Solomon Jones. We'll be right back.
Dietz & Watson has been making premium meats and artisan cheeses for over 80 years. And when it comes to stacking sandwiches and party platters, they've got something for everyone in the family, like maple honey turkey breast, American cheese, buffalo chicken, and more. So get to your local deli and taste 4 generations of family recipes. With Dietz & Watson on the table, you'll have everyone coming back for seconds and thirds. Dietz & Watson, it's a family thing since 1939.
Tune in Saturdays from 2 p.m. to 3 p.m. to hear Empire Capital and Consulting founder Mark Palmer's show titled Black Money, Black Power. This show centers around black money and how black power is derived from money. Tune in every Saturday from 2 p.m. to 3 p.m. Black Money, Black Power, hosted by Mark Palmer.
WURD Radio presents the following wellness tip to support our listeners with mindfulness and motivation as we continue to navigate the pandemic together.
Hi, this is Halana, your resident health and wellness coach, with tips to help you stay well. Many of us have heard this term before, but may not know what it really means. Compassionate living brings mindfulness and peace to the center of your daily life. Compassionate living can look like this. Number 1, be gentle with yourself and those around you. Number 2, choose to speak kindly to others, even when you're upset. Number 3, become a good listener and practice empathy at home and at work. We sometimes think in order to live with compassion, we have to become someone else. Not so. In fact, allowing peacefulness to be at the center of our daily interactions is something we can practice every day. Go ahead and try it today. Stay well with WURD. Happy living.
Stay well with WURD. Connect with us at wordradio.com.
It's Wake Up with WURD, hosted by Solomon Jones. Right now on WURD Radio, 96.1 FM and 900 AM WURD.
Good morning. This is Solomon Jones on 900 AM, 96.1 FM, WURD, and I want to welcome you back to Wake Up with WURD. For those just joining us, guess what? Joe Biden has taken the lead in Pennsylvania. He also took the lead last night in Georgia. He is leading in Arizona, leading in Nevada. Of course, he is leading in the Electoral College count. And it's only a matter of time before this race is called for Joe Biden. And so, you know, I'm just proud of my people, man. I'm proud of my people because I watched you as you lined up for weeks, you know, to vote at those satellite locations here in the city of Philadelphia. I'm proud of my people because I watched you on Election Day show up on walkers and in wheelchairs and on canes and in Timbs and in jeans and with weaves and with bald heads and with afros and with naturals. And you just showed up in all of the beauty of your blackness, and you showed up and you showed out. And you got what you wanted. And so now the real work begins. Take a minute to celebrate. Take a minute to take a bow. Take a minute to say, you know, we are happy with this result. But beyond that, it's now time to get to work. It's time for us to get to work for us, because we got to take care of us. Because as happy as we might be in this moment, there are still those almost 70 million people out there who voted for Donald Trump, and in doing so, voted for racism. They are not going to go away. But what we now should realize is the strength that we have. What we now should realize is that if we decide that there is a mission that we have, that there is a goal that we have, that there is a specific action that we can take in order to meet that goal, we can do it. We just saw ourselves come out and elect a new president, kick a racist out of the White House, and so if we can do that, we can do anything. Take a bow, get a little bit of rest up for a minute, and realize that right after that, it's time to get to work. Here's the other thing that has to be realized. Joe Biden, Kamala Harris, y'all need to realize that the bill is due, that black folks propelled you into office, right? And now the bill is due. All of that stuff that you talked about in terms of funding HBCUs, in terms of funding small businesses, in terms of increasing educational and work opportunities, all of those things are great. Now we need to see it happen, right? The bill is due. And so, we got some work to do going forward, and black folks all around the country are part of it, which brings me to our first caller. Ryan from Houston is on line 3. Go ahead, Ryan.
Hey, Solomon, good morning. I just want to call the city of Philadelphia, state of Pennsylvania, and say thank you.
Yes.
This has been, I'm from Texas. We tried to turn Texas blue. We fell a little short.
Yeah.
But I want to say to the people of Philadelphia, thank you for getting up. Thank you for getting out. Thank you for voting. Thank you for enduring. Thank you for everything you've done. Same for the people in Atlanta. Thank you, thank you, thank you. So if no one else will let you know, I'm calling from the state of Texas, from Houston, Texas, to let you know that I thank you, I applaud you, and Solomon, you're right. This shows that whatever we want to do, we can do. I hope it inspires people in Houston, New York, Chicago, Philadelphia, Atlanta, all across this country to let black people know. We did it with Obama, we did it with Biden, and we can do it with any other time we want to. Thank you, City of Philadelphia. Good
Thank
luck.
you, brother.
God
Thank
bless.
you. You are welcome. On behalf of the city of Philadelphia, you are welcome. And I want to thank you so much for your call this morning on WURD. I have never been prouder of my city because this is Philadelphia that did this. And that's why when Donald Trump got up on the debate stage a couple of weeks ago, he targeted Philadelphia because he understood that what I've been saying for really over a year, that the black vote in Philadelphia was going to decide how this state went, and this state was going to decide how this election went, right? And that has come to fruition. And you don't have to be a genius to see that. All you have to do is be able to count, right? And so black folks showed up and showed out and understood what we were up against, understood what the mission was, understood what the goal was, and understood the action that we needed to take, and we did that. And so take a minute, just take a minute, you know what I mean? Enjoy it for a minute, but right after this, it's time to get back to work. It's time to get back to work. We will continue to do all of the things that we've been doing. We, Man Up PHL, working with ShopRite to get some groceries to our mentees. We're starting that tomorrow. All of the work that you have been doing with your organizations, all of that work continues, right? But this is a moment that has proven to me, and I think has proven to America, that guess what? When black folks decide that there is something that we want to get done, we can get it done if we work together, and we have to continue to do that beyond just the election, beyond just this moment, beyond Joe Biden and Kamala Harris. We have to continue to work together to get the things done that we need in order to improve our community. We can do it. How do I know? Because we just did. I want to hear from you. Give me a call, 215-634-8065. That is 215-634-8065. That is the number that you can call to get in on the conversation right here at WURD Radio. We got a couple of comments from folks, and one of them is from Phyllis Williams. She says this: thank God for WURD, Sarah Lomax Reese, you, Solomon, and all the WURD hosts. And thanks for all the WURD listeners and supporters. Everyone is so great. And as they say, their strength in numbers keep strength alive. We got another comment from Cedric Milliner, who says, hey, greeting. Military hasn't been counted yet. We're rolling with 2022 midterm elections, getting Mitch and Lindsey out next time around. Peace. Doris Clark says, good morning, Solomon. Screaming from New Jersey. Thank you, Philadelphians, for showing up and showing out. Love you. God gave you the power. Amen. And, of course, we got some other comments as well. Walter Davis says, thank you, Lord, for Solomon Jones and his mission and knowledge that he shares with his listeners and citizens throughout the city. I want to thank you so much for that comment. I really appreciate it. I can't read this name. I think it says, Lord have mercy. Oh, there it is. It says, Mamie Fatu says, yes, OMG, it took so long for this understanding finally came to light. I've been saying it for so long. We are enough. Finally. Erica says, listen, I am in Chicago, but I stand strong for my city all day. I'm about to make a trip to dance in the streets with my city. I want to thank you, Erica, for that as well. And let's see, we got a couple of other ones. Constance Stewart says this, don't forget about the first female vice president, history in the making. And Yonder Washington says, Lindsay, gots to go. Desalina Clement says, blue votes matter. So we got another comment from Walter Davis who says, thank the Lord, Solomon Jones, and his mission and knowledge that he shares with his listeners and citizens throughout the Delaware Valley. We read that earlier. Let's go back to the phone lines. Henrietta is on line 1. Go ahead, Henrietta.
Yes. Hi, Solomon.
Hey.
I wanted to say, yes, I'm glad I'm hearing some praises from God for he helped us to stand out to get to the voting. And I thank all the prayers that the churches gave and the righteous saints gave, because without God, we wouldn't have been able to make it. And God has shined his grace and love down on this because he heard the cries of his people. He heard the cries of his people. And he was in heaven saying, too, my children, yeah, he got to go. Hallelujah.
Hallelujah. I want to thank you so much for your call this morning on WURD. Jim from West Philly. Go ahead, Jim.
I just am so grateful. At first I thought I wanted it to be a landslide, but I'm looking at it now, and it's just like water torture for Trump. The presidency drips away, drip, drip, drip. So I couldn't think of a better fitting way for him to go out, squirming, knowing there's nothing he can do, fighting every way he can. But you're gone, Trump. You're out, you're out, you're out.
I know that's right. I want to thank you so much for your call this morning on WURD. Let's go to Sheila from Overbrook on line 3. Go ahead, Sheila.
Everything that everybody said. But I want to say to you, Solomon, really, thank you. Because you are, I'm going to say this without crying, you are so patient with us. Our ignorance, the things that we don't know, the things that we should know, and you teach us. And this is honestly, since starting to listen to you, it's the first time that I understand elections. And I've always considered myself to be bright, to be plugged in, to be woke, but I wasn't. And you just keep schooling us. And I remember I called you, I think, yesterday, and they were yourself, whatever. I was so nervous because, when Biden first started, I was campaigning. I was going down to the campaign or whatever, and then the virus kicked off, right? But I was so confident. But I called you the other day, and I was scared to death. And you said, I said, Solomon, you think he can win? And you said, yes, I do. Thank you, Solomon, so much for hanging in there with us.
You're welcome. You're welcome, Sheila, and thank you so much for always being so supportive. We appreciate you. Let's go to Rashana on line 4. Go ahead, Rashana.
Hello. Good morning, Solomon. How are you? I just want to compliment you on the background behind your where you're seated at with the palm trees and the flowers.
That's my wife. Give Levita a shout.
It's beautiful. It reminds me of Africa. I love what you've done with the place. I love what you've done with the place. Yes.
Yeah, she did it. Yep. Thank you so much. I appreciate that. Thank you so much. Let's go to Mary on line 1. Go ahead, Mary.
Solomon, my son.
Mm-hmm.
Remember a couple of weeks ago I said pray and vote?
Yeah.
God knows God can do anything but fail because there's no failure in God.
Amen.
No failure in God. I just thank God for WURD, for you, all the other hosts, and it does prove one thing. We can do what we have to do. And that's why after they get inaugurated in January, we still going to do what we have to do.
I know that's right.
My son, take care. God bless you always and your family.
God bless you too. And thank you. This is, that's going to do it for Wake Up with WURD this morning right here on WURD. I want to thank our guests, including Deja Moore from the Boston Globe, of course, financial advisor Akbar Hassan, I want to thank Philadelphia, especially Black Philadelphia, for coming out and showing up and doing what needed to be done. I am so proud of our community, so proud of this station, so proud of our people. And now we got to keep on moving. Take a minute, get a little bit of rest. But then right after that, it is right back to work. I want to thank everybody who tuned in on today's show. And now, for producer Kayla J sitting in for Kawesa Mathis and everyone here at WURD Radio, I am your host, Solomon Jones, saying stay tuned for The Source with Tiffany Bacon and tune in Monday at 7 for more. Wake up with Word. Peace.